From the TFNB Your Bank for Life studio. Now, it's time for the SMOAK Show. Presented by IdealMRI.com. Premium quality MRIs, convenient, affordable. That's ideal. And by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, your insurance provider built by Texans for Texans. And we've been protecting families in our great state since 1952. TFNB, your bank for life, serving Central Texans since 1889. It's time for the SMOAK Show on 365 Sports with David SMOAK and Craig SMOAK.
Different things when it comes to college athletics. We're hearing from even George Smart on looking at today's Alpha Dog programs and what they would like against the Nick Saban, Kirby Smart Alpha Dogs too. A couple of notes, business notes. We'll hear from American Commissioner Tom Pernetti, not live on the show, but an interview about conference realignment and eating your own. And then also a note or two about gambling with Warren Buffett. Good afternoon. And David SMOAK with Craig SMOAK. Craig, good afternoon. It's kind of a day when a lot of things piled up that we haven't used yet, but are still very timely. And Rhett Lashley, SMU head coach, will join us in about 8 minutes.
Yeah, Tim Pernetti is the commissioner of the American, not Tom Pernetti, but Tim, same thing. I just wanted to make sure we get that correct.
We're going to start doing an over-under on how deep into the show before I am corrected, because I could be corrected all the time.
I could not correct you.
No, I want you to.
I can let you just see how many things you don't.
You are the dragon for a reason.
No, I mean, I just want to get people's names
right. I know. I get it.
It drives me crazy when I see that, and I know you aren't saying that because you don't know it. You got a lot of things going on in your head, and so I'm just making sure that you get that right for the audience out there. It's been a wild week. I mean, I did a little bit of a roundup podcast, the Smoke Break, which you can catch like 3 times a week now on this channel, and it's just more of like a 15 or so minute kind of in that range podcast, and I cover some similar ground to what we cover on here. And so yesterday I recorded one that just kind of summed up the week. And I mean, between the Brendan Sorsby story and just the ramifications of that, and then the Big 12 and Redbird Capital and the ramifications of that, and then even going to the demise of Live Golf, and not the ramifications of that so much, but just like the lessons learned. And here's another attempt to throw all this money at something and make it great, and then it flounders, and now it's trying to figure out whether or not it can even survive. And I've said a couple times now, I think that should just be, while not an A-to-A comparison, it should be a bit of just a reminder to the college folks out there of like taking money and all of that. You just got to be very careful, because even for the richest people in the entire universe, the money runs out, or the intentions change, and you're not in control of that. So it's been, from that standpoint, a week with still a lot of really interesting stories. Today's more of a sleepy day. I think it feels like around here because it's just rainy. So it just feels like one of those kind of, let's like get into the weekend and like take a nap and, kind of play golf or whatever.
It was raining when I woke up earlier this morning to get going. It was raining. I almost wanted to just hit snooze 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
I did not, because easily a sleepyhead weather. And so here we are. And again, Rhett Lashley will join us here momentarily. Here's Kirby Smart. Georgia, of course, they've had their run, and they are still very dominant when it comes to the SEC. But Kirby Smart was a part of those Nick Saban teams at Alabama when they were winning a large chunk of the national championships. He was on Next Round Live, and he was asked the question about how the current alphas in college football and how they would hold up against the ones 8 to 10 years ago.
Younger players. I got kids that would have never played at Georgia when I got there, or at Alabama I was there, that are having to play now.
Right.
Because you don't have enough.
Yeah, I don't think that was the full clip. That was the tail end of it, because I saw that going around yesterday. So I don't know if we can fire that back up, or that's what was sent over. But no,
it should have been about 50 to a minute, 20 seconds or so. But
yeah,
you were in Tuscaloosa and then early at Georgia to now. How much has the depth changed on your roster?
Man.
The 1 to 2, 2 to 3s.
I tell people all the time, I was like, our best Alabama teams, I'm going to go 2012, 13, 14, 15, would beat the dog out of all these teams right now because they could practice different and they were deeper. Okay, the game has not changed that much from 2012 to 2025, but the roster has, and those teams would clubber lane somebody. They would just physically beat you. And I look at our team now and I go, oh, man, oh, God, we don't have the depth we had. We're not as good as we were. We're not going to be – and then we go out there and win the SEC. And I'm like, it's just relative. Yeah. It's relative. It's like everybody's going – I'm not saying going down because there's an Indiana. There's a Michigan. But relative, it's going down. Like there's not as much talent acquisition and much as talent on a team to be able to just develop it and grow. I'm playing younger players. I got kids that would have never played at Georgia when I got there or at Alabama I was there that are having to play now.
Right.
Because you don't have enough.
Yep, there he is. The deep, like you said, he's playing a lot of young players that otherwise would have been, as I use that term, marinating as red shirts or just not having to play. And now you just can't do that with the portal. You have to play what you have because a lot of times you don't have any else, nobody else on the roster that's there that's better than what you have as younger players.
I mean, you just don't have the depth. That's what it is. You don't have freshmen that are 5-star, 4-star players that are marinating and having to sit and not just freely transfer as they wish. They're cooking, they're marinating, they're developing, they're growing, and they're having to wait their turn. And then the best of the best, they still play right away. But yeah, that doesn't happen nearly as much anymore because everybody scatters out. Or they don't play right away, and then they get into the transfer portal so they can go play right away. So, yeah, he can't have some 4-star linebacker who's having to wait 2.5 years behind some other 4- and 5-star linebackers and just still have him whenever he wants him. He's got to appease that guy, play that guy, or that guy's going to go play somewhere else. And so I think there's another part of that interview because a couple of those clips went pretty viral, and I came across them yesterday. Where he talks about the Big Ten winning the last 3 national titles. And he points to other reasons as to why he thinks that is. But I think what he just said there is a big reason why that's also the case. I mean, the SEC, Georgia, those Georgia teams that he talks about, yeah, they would wipe the floor with his current Georgia teams most likely because the first waves might be similar, but those second waves and then especially that third or fourth wave, like there's no doubt who's got the deeper bench, and that's the old Georgia teams as opposed to the current Georgia teams. So, yeah, I think that the depth issue is something that's certainly affecting the SEC because you can't just hoard all this talent and foster it over time. And I think like with his comments on the Big Ten and why they've had this run of success, I do think that plays into it amongst maybe some other reasons. And one he cited was the SEC schedule. And I kind of agree with him. I kind of don't on that. But, yeah, the point here I think is very valid, and that's just part of the deal. I don't know how many teams we're going to see anymore, which makes Indiana kind of a phenomenon, even more so than it already was. But I don't know how many teams are going to be 16-0 and be able to run through multiple highly ranked teams. Indiana did it, and maybe there's a lot of teams that do it, but I just don't know how many of these teams we're going to be going, I'd put them against 0-1 Miami, and I'd put them against 19 LSU, and I'd put them against 95 Nebraska, and I'd put them against like 05 Texas, and I don't know how many teams we're going to have moving forward that you could say pound for pound you could do that with. And I know another thing that went viral was that Georgia's teams, and I forget, it was like specifically the 2018 or
2021.
2021, yeah.
And Zach Barnett wrote a story about it. He's going to join us at 4:30.
But, yeah, the 2021 team became like the most drafted team of all time, surpassing Miami. And so, yeah, like how often is that going to happen anymore? That 2021, that's probably the end of it. Because unless you've just hoarded so much talent through NIL, 2021, what's that? That's the cutoff of NIL right there. After that was when everything changed.
Yep.
So they went on and, won a national title, had the most dudes ever drafted off of a team. But I doubt that we'll ever see that again. I doubt we'll see that record broken because it's just going to be nearly impossible to keep that amount of talent on one roster long enough to allow it to get to the point where it can all be drafted, unless you just go on the spending spree of all spending sprees for 1 year and you get just this accumulation of guys, but I can only imagine what that roster tab would look like. So, yeah, I thought that was a really interesting comment, and I think he's dead on that, yeah, the depth would win out when you compare teams from just a few years ago to the teams of right now. The first squads might be pretty similar, but beyond that, yeah, those pre-NIL teams were definitely deeper and more developed.
Well, yeah, because guys, they left, they had to sit out a year unless they were graduate transfers. Now you have guys leaving because they want more time or want a lot more. And we'll talk to Rhett Lashley about that, SMU football coach. I think, Rez, that we have coach. Got him. Rhett Lashley, SMU football coach. David SMOAK and Craig SMOAK, 365 Sports. And Rhett, thank you very much for your time as always. When you look at where teams are because of the portal, because of NIL, and just because it changes, can you be as deep as you really want to be?
Man, that's a great question. Probably not as deep as you want to be. I came in on the tail end of y'all's conversation. I mean, I think the days of stockpiling talent are kind of over for the top, 5 to 10 programs. And I think that's why you see the parity in college football. And I think that's why you see Indiana winning a national title. You see us and Arizona State and other schools like that making the college football playoffs in the last 2 years. But it's all relative, right? We're all dealing with the same things. Guys, you got to have great starters, and you hope you have really quality backups. And after that, it could get thin real quick, much like an NFL roster if you have a bunch of injuries, just because year to year, if guys aren't playing or going to play a lot, they're going to look elsewhere.
Well, Coach, we do appreciate you joining us once again. I know you've been with us a few times before. How was this spring in comparison to maybe the last couple of years, as far as not having to look over your shoulder every 5 seconds, or maybe just try to keep things as in-house as possible? Did it feel a little freer and more relaxed in comparison to when this transfer portal window was still in existence?
Absolutely. I mean, we can all have difference of opinions, and I'm probably, if you polled 136 coaches, you'd get about 80 different opinions on when the portal should be. But I think you'd have a unanimous, resounding yes that we did a good thing by getting to one portal. It was really cool by when we went back to school on January 20th, I knew everybody that was going to be on our roster, and I didn't have to worry if anyone's leaving. So we went in right into our off season, our winter program. We've done spring ball. Guys are getting ready for finals. But all that preparation, we've known who's on our team, and that's just different. And that's been good. I think that hopefully helps everybody get a head start, and you can really start to prepare to build your team. Not that we wouldn't have done that in the past, but you're doing it also knowing, well, this guy may not even be here, right? And then as far as our spring ball, I mean, it's funny, we were just talking about it. I do think we have a chance to have the deepest team we've had which would be going into our 5th year since we've been here. And I think that's because we have a good returning group. We only brought in about 15 or 16 transfers, and our last 2 recruiting classes have been the best we've ever had. So we have a much better foundation of young players than we've had in the past.
So do you know all the rules? It's with everything changing the way it is, and they're always trying to tweak it. And it sometimes wonder, why do we have a rule, or why is there a rule knowing it's not going to probably work? But is that something that takes up a lot of your time, or do you have others helping you manage that?
It doesn't take too much of my time up, because I just figure out what the rules are and let's go play by it. There's no reason to spend time complaining about it. I am blessed to be on a few committees and the AFCA board and other things so I get to hear a lot of the information sometimes behind the scenes. So that helps keep me in the loop. We do have a great team of compliance and others that keep us up to date on the rules. But the rules are ever changing.
Whoop. Lost him. See if we can possibly get him back. I think he's trying to get back on. I think he's trying to get back on, Rez. Rhett Lashley, head coach at SMU, with us. They've had a great run. And joining the ACC, of course, was huge. And as he said, perhaps his deepest, best team after a couple of years in the ACC. Yeah,
that's great news for them. I mean, they've definitely found their lane, and they've got a good thing going. He got that contract extension back at the end of last year, and they're just in a really good spot. I mean, the move to the ACC, that transition, they aced that. Obviously, getting into the playoff right away. Still some things to accomplish, obviously, but they're definitely in a good driving lane right now, and hopefully we can get him back on to get some more questions out there. But I like how he's just no nonsense. I mean, I think the rules are easy to complain about, but what good does it ultimately do you, especially in his position? And so good. We got Coach back here.
Rhett, sorry, we lost you in the middle of that.
Well, I apologize. Somebody called me and it knocked me off. I could hear you guys the whole time. So, yeah, I don't know what we're talking about other than the rules. And so, I mean, here's the deal about rules, right? Like we do our best to follow the rules here, but if they aren't going to enforce rules, then do you really even have rules?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what you see in college football a lot right now. Any combination of the fact that our game has changed so fast over the last 4 or 5 years that the NCAA can't keep up with the rule changes. And then with all the court cases and legal challenges, it makes it hard to have a lot of consistency. But I think we have a good understanding of what we got to do and how we got to play the game.
So, Coach, I was just talking about you guys seem to be in a real sweet spot where you just kind of got the trains moving along and you guys are at a nice little pace. You got the contract extension. You got Kevin Jennings back. You got a deep roster. You're in the ACC. I mean, seems like things are really in a good place. How would you describe the last couple of years of being in the ACC and just what kind of a difference has that made that you've seen up close and personal at SMU?
It's made a huge difference. I mean, I think you can just see we've won 31 games in the last 3 years, 14-2 in the ACC. That's the best record in the ACC since we entered the league. So we've made a great first impression. You said it, having Kevin Jennings. I mean, Kevin Jennings should be a Heisman favorite going into the season. Now, if he doesn't play well, fine. We're going to have great opportunities. We're playing at Florida State on Labor Day Monday night, playing at Louisville week 3. We have a really good conference schedule in the middle, and we're at Notre Dame late in the year. So we can do our part, but he was a top 10 passer last year that's returning. He's, we start talking about all-time career yards, wins, all that. He's up there. So, for whatever reason, he isn't getting the respect preseason that he probably should deserve. And that's okay. But well, honestly, it's not okay. I mean, he should be up there in the top 5 to 8 quarterbacks everybody's talking about. I mean, how many guys have a returning QB that started a playoff game? He's one of those. And so that gives us great confidence. But we're in a good place, and I like our team. I felt like we had a good year when we won the title in 23. We had a great opening season in the ACC because we had a lot of returning players. We lost a lot of guys last year, and it hurt us early in the season. I mean, 9 of our 11 starters were gone on defense, and that showed up when we couldn't close out the Baylor game late, 14 points, and we couldn't close out the TCU game in the fourth quarter. And then we kind of got on a roll and won at Clemson and beat Miami at home and just stubbed our toe late. But we got a lot of guys returning. We got a good young group. We got a good group of transfers. I like our team, and I like where our program is to hopefully take the next step and go from good to great.
We've actually interviewed Kevin probably 5 or 6 times from when he was younger in the program and, of course, a Dallas kid to where we even had him on, I think, back in the early part of spring. How do you what about him that maybe people don't know other than he's just a great leader and a hell of a football player?
He's both of those things. I mean, he's got the great blend of confidence and humility at the same time. His guys play hard for him. He's an elite competitor. We're in our winter program, and you're going into a senior, your 5th year, your third year as a starter, and all those things. You'd think that the QBs, a lot of times schools will have them do lighter weightlifting and maybe not make them do as much in the offseason. Not here. We didn't ask him to. That's not how we roll. But if we did, he wouldn't have done it. All he did was go up against our top DB in all the winter workouts and smoked him all day long. And our DB is going to play in the NFL. So he's an elite competitor. He's a great athlete. What he did last year, he still had a really good year. I mean, he threw for 365 and beat Miami, right? And he did it after he hurt his ankle first quarter of the Baylor game, week 2, and really never had the mobility all year that has helped him in the past, and still just gutted out a really good season. We weren't as good last year, and you never heard a word from him. He never griped. I think we got the pieces around him this year, and he's hungry. He's hungry to, he don't worry about what other people say. He believes in himself, but he's on a mission, I think, to lead our team to have the best season we could possibly have.
Coach, what was it like to see Miami go and have the run that they did? I mean, I know there's more conference pride because it's just the environment that we're in right now. Everybody's got to kind of root for their own interests, right? So I don't think you're probably rooting for Miami all the time, but what was it like to see them go make a run, especially with your experience you had with them and just what it said maybe for the league, but also for SMU in a roundabout way as well?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have a choice but to pull for your lead because there's so much bias out there. To your point, Miami was in a 5-way tie for second in the ACC. So you could argue they were anywhere from second to sixth in our league, and yet they played for the national title. They didn't even play in our conference championship game, yet the schools that played in the SEC in the conference championship game, they didn't make the title game. The schools that won and played in the conference title game in the Big 12, they didn't make the title game. So I think our league doesn't get the top to bottom respect it deserves. Now, look, if we'd have done our part and beat Cal, then probably the winner of our Virginia game would have been in, and we'd have had 2 teams in. Duke should have been in by winning our league, all that stuff. We just got to keep playing. But it was good to see them go on and play well. I mean, I said it at the beginning of the season. I said at the middle of the season. I said it right before we played them. They had a national championship defense, and that was evident. Yeah. And I think shortly after we played them, Carson Beck got in a rhythm. He figured out who he was and how he needed to play. And I mean, they lost by 6 for the national championship. Really, if they could just block a safe punt scenario, they might have won it, right? And so I think it shows that our league is good when our arguably somewhere between 3rd and 6th best team is playing for the national title. Maybe this year, we had a winning record against the SEC. We had a good season overall as a league. You just got to do it back to back to back and break through and win some more championships.
So there's news out there today that you are bringing on Zaire Turner in a head recruiting role, senior director of recruiting, coming over from USC, where USC just had a phenomenal class, top class in the country, arguably. So just curious about the evolution of these front offices, and is that something that's kind of interesting to you to put together? How do you go about kind of doing that? And just, can you kind of speak to how important that is to have people like Zaire Turner, directors of recruiting, and this built out office to maintain a program that's a high level these days?
Yeah, you used a good word, front office, right? We used to call it our recruiting department. and now it's like a front office. And, look, recruiting's always been the lifeblood of a program. So that part hadn't changed. But what is different is what that group has to do, right? You've got a salary cap, you've got roster management limits, money, all those things that we didn't used to have to deal with. Someone like Zaire is a great ad for us. Kendall Lambert had been running our recruiting the last 2 years. She did a fantastic job, had come over from Auburn, and she had an opportunity in her life to move on and do something else. And Zaire's from the Dallas area. This is home to her. She did an excellent job at Notre Dame 2 years ago when they lost in the national championship game. Then she goes to USC and does that. And so to get the opportunity to have her on our staff, but also for her to recognize what our program is becoming and want to be on our staff, I think is a big deal for us. Everything from J.R. Sandlin running as our general manager, came over from Oklahoma a couple years ago, to Zaire, to everyone else that's on our team in that personnel and recruiting department. It's always been a big deal. It still is a huge deal. Obviously, it's just the day-to-day things they deal with and what they have to do has really changed. And it is more like a front office. We're really blessed to have a great group of people running that for us.
We've mentioned, Kevin, and you mentioned a lot of what you have. The running back position, you look like you got a 2-headed monster in Kendrick Raphael, and also with Green. Last year, you were like 95th in rushing yards in the country. How much will they help? Because you were still very good, Rhett, but how much do you think that might help?
Yeah, thanks for delivering that stat. I didn't know it was that bad, but we did not run the ball as consistently as we wanted to, and right. I think that hurt us late in games. Try to help our defense and close the game out, control the game like we want to. Even games when maybe you're struggling a little bit offensively early or the weather's bad, like that's a big. You throw the ball to score, but you run the ball to win. And 2 years ago, we made the college football playoff because we had a guy named Rashard Smith who had about 2,000 total yards, right? Mm-hmm. That was a deal for us last year. I feel like we've really upgraded that position for us. If we can stay healthy, I feel like we have a minimum of 2 guys who can really run the football. We brought Kendrick Raphael in from Cal. The thought is if he's going to score the game-winning touchdown to keep you from going to the ACC title game, then he might as well come play for you. So he's a veteran. He had about 1,300 yards total, right at 1,000 rushing, about 350 receiving last year. He's a big back. He can run between the tackles, outside, can catch the ball. And then we pair him with a young, talented guy in redshirt freshman, D'Amico Green, who we think the ceiling is just, I don't know if there's a roof on his ceiling. Had a great spring. That's 2 big physical backs. They can pass protect. They can get the goal line short yardage runs. They can take it to the house. They can get on the edge. They can catch it out of the backfield. I don't know if we've had 2 guys as complete and as talented in my time here. I'm not even talking about a couple of our freshmen coming in or a versatile guy like Derek McFall, who kind of plays half running back, half receiver. So I feel like we have a chance to have a much better running game this year, and that should help our entire football team.
Couple more questions, Brett. Thank you. Javon Thomas, a transfer from A&M at the cornerback position. He is pretty darn good. I mean, he's a hell of a player. How much, besides the obvious, does he help you on defense?
Big. We added about 3 veteran guys to the secondary. I liked our young players. I liked the guys we have coming back. We weren't as good last year in the secondary as we had been the 2 years before, and it kind of showed late. We're trying to close out games, and man, getting someone like JT to come. He's from Dallas, played at South Oak Cliff, had been banged up the last 2 years, played a lot early at A&M, did a good job, had been having nagging injuries, and so he played, but not at the level that maybe he thought he should or wanted to. And so to get him to come home and play for us, I think he's got a chance. He's versatile. He could play nickel. He could play corner. I think he's got a really good chance to lock down one of the corner spots, which he's big, he's physical, and he can really run. And he's got experience. And to have him paired with some of the guys we have returning, I think gives us a chance at corner. We also added Jimmy Wyrick at safety, and we added Jarvis Lee at nickel. That's 3 junior, senior level type DBs that have played a lot of college football to go with what we think is the best young DBs we brought in over the last 2 years. I think you could see our group make a big jump, and JT's going to be a big part of it.
Can you go ahead, Craig? And then
Coach,
I have
this
one.
is just kind of a random question while I thought of you talking there. It's like transfers and recruiting in general. Is being Dallas-based a better advantage for high school recruiting or actually for transfer portal recruiting? Because maybe guys initially want to get out a little bit, and then when they kind of learn more, they're like, oh, I want to come back home. Is there a difference, or is there actually, some advantage to that one way or the other?
Now that we're in the ACC, both. It's a huge advantage in both. Before, when we weren't in a power conference, it was more transfer-based for us. But now that last year we had the 22nd ranked recruiting class. I think the year before it was 30th. Right now we're in the top 15 or 20. The best high school players and the people we're recruiting for, we've got some of the best high school players in the country taking an OV this weekend. That wasn't happening before the ACC, but now it is. And so we can go out for the best of the best the first time around out of high school. But to your point, there's roughly 130 to 150 Division I Power 4 players that go out of the Metroplex every year. Well, we're not getting all of them, right? I think we got 9 of them last year, and that was the most of any team in the country. So that means there's like 140 others that went elsewhere. And most kids, not just Dallas kids in general, when they decide to transfer from a place, the most likely thing they're going to do is go closer to home. Mm-hmm. And so it honestly gives us a chance on the front end. But then if we don't get them or they don't choose to come here, or maybe we didn't even recruit them the first time, later in the transfer process, more than not, our guys are guys that are either from Texas, from the Metroplex.
And so when you recruit them the first time, you treat them really well, which you do anyway, but then you never know when you're going to, like you said, re-recruit them, and they remember, like, if you were fair to them, et cetera. That's a big deal. Go ahead with that.
No, you're right. Recruiting's competitive, right? If we're competing against Texas and Texas A&M and OU and LSU and all these guys for players, we're not going to win every time. We might finish second. We might finish third. That means if that young man decides to transfer one day and you still have a need or feel like he's a fit, you're probably one of those top options. So it's a big deal.
Last thing, with the projects, the stadiums, all of what they're doing and what has already been done, the support, SMU was very hungry and like thirsty to get this opportunity. Can you try to describe that support you're getting?
And it's second to none. It's why we're so thankful and happy to be here and excited about not only what we've done, but what we think we can do. From our president, Jay Hartzell, to our AD, Damon Evans, to David Miller and all of our board members and Bill Armstrong and everyone else, like, the support is all in. There's full alignment. And it took a lot to get us to this point, right? To get in the ACC, to be competitive, to win. But what's awesome is there's no stop in our support. Everybody says, well, yeah, we made it in, but we didn't just want to get in. We want to prove that we belong. We want to have staying power. We want to be back at the top level of college football and college athletics. And, we're going to compete hard and we're going to do it the right way. But we really believe that we haven't scratched the surface of what we can become. And as a coach, look, you got the pressure to win regardless. You might as well have the support and the resources. And we definitely have that. And so that's probably what excites me and our staff and really our fan base more than any is we're not slowing down at all.
How much do you think coaches use what's happened with the quarterback, Brendan Sorsby in Tech in Cincinnati, and use that to educate and just one more flair? Guys, please, this is a zero tolerance situation.
Yeah, it's awful that he's having to go through that, and other schools are. I mean, you talk to him every year. Your compliance department does. You do. You try. I mean, gambling's such a big deal now, right? It's not like it was 10, 15 years ago. Like, it's accessible to anybody online. It's fairly legal most places. But obviously in sports, whether it's college or pro sports, it's always been that way. You don't gamble on your own team. You don't gamble on your own sports. But it's a real thing. You know, I hate it. I don't know all the details. It's not my business. There is zero tolerance to your point. I mean, and it's weird. Some things we have more tolerance for than others, and I don't really know who draws that line or where. But yeah, I mean, you hate it for young men that, and I don't know the situation. Maybe you make one mistake and it costs you everything, or maybe it's an issue. But as a head coach, you got 105 guys. It's like having 105 kids. Every night you go to sleep and you don't know what's going to happen, right? You try to communicate, you try to give them all the information, you try to put them in good situations, and then just really pray they make great decisions.
Great stuff. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time. Enjoy the weekend. Thank you very much, Rhett Lashley.
Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. With us on 365 Sports early, and a bunch from roster development and everything else that goes into it, to a new director that is running football and recruiting, et cetera. And then also there's a coach and his honest answer about what's happening, what you deal with when a player like Brendan Sorsby is going through what he's going through.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that's a pertinent question to ask, not to necessarily get your opinion on, like, he deserves to be banned. But, yeah, like, it definitely has to serve as a cautionary tale for someone like him of, like, hey, guys, look, like, here's this guy who had the world by the you-know-whats and was number one quarterback, this, that, the other, and made a poor choice, and it could cost him a lot. So I think that's just an example you would use to pass along and try to ensure your guys don't fall into the same trappings. But yeah, I mean, he covered a lot of ground, like you said. They're rolling along. I mean, they did beat Miami last year in Dallas in overtime. One of only a couple teams to be able to do that, obviously. And he's got Kevin Jennings back and a good running back group and a lot to like about that SMU team. So, I mean, I think at this point they've been kind of boxed out by the rest of the Texas schools to the degree that they can be boxed out, but they still got room to do their thing. And they've done that really well for the past couple of years of, like, even though teams have tried to prevent them from entering a conference or maybe not scheduled them any longer, TCU, for example, they're still just making the best with what they've got. And fortunately for them, they got a lot of money because otherwise, like, that's the name of the game, right? Like, you got to have that nowadays. Mm-hmm. And fortunately for them, they do. And so, yeah, they are rolling. And I think that's a team that, yeah, is definitely in the higher level competition for the ACC championship this year. I've got them right there in that mix with Miami and whoever you want to throw in there. If it's a Clemson or I don't really know how people feel about Georgia Tech all the way just yet post Haynes King. I know there's great reviews on Mendoza and him taking over, but yeah, I think besides Miami, who you just kind of go, yeah, they'll be really good again, even though they've got a lot of changeover. SMU's right there.
Yeah, that was fun. Appreciate that. Thanks to Chris Smith for setting it up for us. We've had Rhett Lashley on before, and it's always great to get the head coaches on this particular show. We're going to come back after a break and get back to some headlines. Warren Buffett, in fact, with some comments about gambling. We'll hear from UCF and what are their thoughts about the Redbird Capital. And then, again, Tim Pernetti, American Athletic Conference Commissioner, on conferences and looking and expansion and take that, but lose this, all that and more. Rez and Logan McGessie today running the motherships, and Garrett Ross and Andrew Valade, Craig Smoke, David Smoke. This is 365 Sports. IdealMRI.com. You can see the logo over my left shoulder. This is a great business and one that can help you as a patient in two different ways. If you've had chronic pain or even like pain that shuts you down, or pain that when, let's say your shoulders got a problem. Is it a ripped, torn muscle? your doctor might be able to examine you, but they want a better look at it, or something that's going on within your back or cervical or your knee or ankle or what it might be. They have state-of-the-art imaging machine. I've been in it 4 different times. It is fantastic, and it's just an incredible experience, and that's not always the case. You know, you get inside that tunnel, and man, you could whoa, I've done that with another one, but not with them. They have always made it so comfortable. And yes, the images, they give you a disc, and then your doctor also within the portal will get your images too, and then they can move forward and, okay, this is what we need to do or not. Ideal MRI is also just $497 or less every single time inside the Central Texas Marketplace off of I-35 in the southern part of Waco. Dr. Rob Maxey, the partners have done and have a phenomenal business for you and your doctors and your health at idealmri.com.
Broker is your Lennox Premier dealer. Right now, qualified buyers can make no payments and get no interest financing for 12 months on a new Lennox home comfort system. Conditions apply. Call Ray Broker Air Conditioning and Heating Specialists for details and a free estimate.
I have a lot of friends reach out to me about buying vehicles for their fleet and their business, and I always recommend Allen Samuels. You see a lot of businesses running different brands, but I really think Rams are the best looking ones out there. They're going to take care of you. They're going to make sure that you get what you need, and they're always going to take care of you on the service side and the sales side.
Like Allen Samuels always said, Waco has a lot to offer, and so do we at Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
Bold are the adventurous. Determined are the leaders. Faithful are the healers. At Baylor, you'll find your calling, your people, and your purpose. Dare to be you, indeed.
It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, your bank for life.
Extreme Texas weather calls for Ray Broker, your Lennox Premier dealer. Sign up for our year-round comfort plan and keep your home the perfect temperature no matter what the forecast is. Call or visit raybroker.com now. Ray Broker, your air conditioning and heating specialist.
This 3 o'clock hour is brought to you by QC Kinetics. Feel better, move better, live better with regenerative medicine using your body's own healing abilities for natural pain relief. No surgery, no drugs, no downtime. With locations in Dallas and Houston at QCkinetics.com. It's time for the Smoke Show on 365 Sports with Craig Smoke and David Smoke.
All right, here we are, this 3 o'clock hour, thanks to Rhett Lashley. Still a lot of sports news to get to. And we will do that with Redbird Capital in the Big 12. We know the story. And UCF's athletic director, Terry Mohajir, was asked about it earlier today. And what Mohajir said is that they back what the Big 12 is doing with Redbird Capital and the partnership, but the Knights will not exercise the one-time opportunity to create more money and revenue. And so thank you. Appreciate it. You guys do what you do, but we're not going to be one of the teams that take the money at all.
Well, I'm glad he came out and said it. I mean, there's one of 16 questions answered, and I think you could go ahead and say it wouldn't make a lot of sense for Texas Tech to do it. or BYU for that matter. I just think the schools that I feel like the coffers are pretty full right now. Others, though, might be in a little bit more need, and we'll see. I mean, and then again, maybe Texas Tech has enough money that they know they can repay whatever, but I just don't think they're keen on paying interest on top of, like, if you don't need to do the money thing, then why would you go take money just to pay interest on it, right? So I'm not sure why they or BYU, for example, would want to do that. But Utah, I would imagine, is going to be a no because they've already set up their own entirely separate, much more expanded, personalized version of an influx of money. So I think Utah would probably say no. And yeah, I'm curious to see who says yes. I mean, I think that's part of the intrigue now is that it's official. Who takes them up on the offer? And UCF actually would have been a team I thought might do that just because they're still somewhat new, getting their footing to a degree still. And yes, they have a large alumni base, but that doesn't equate just naturally to lots and lots of money. It's a younger fan base too, so it can kind of take a while to get to that point where you're like Indiana old money and totally fleshed out and at full volume. But I like that he commented on it, and now we have an answer from them. And I do think that a big part of this deal, like a big deal was made about it being private equity and all of that, and that's clearly not the case entirely. But I do like about the deal that it doesn't force you into anything, and I kind of said this on my smoke break follow-up earlier today when I just covered 2 or 3 different topics. But I like that it doesn't force you into anything, and that it does appear as though more of the benefit is not necessarily in the initial money grab, but in what could come later on with their involvement in TV deals and things like that they could help you do, investments, that sort of a thing. So, yeah, I mean, it was just announced a day or two ago. We'll see who else comes out publicly or not, but I don't think it's the big bad wolf that it necessarily looked like when the headlines first started appearing a couple of years ago. We'll see.
Yeah, and so there's one. And I did mention that I did have a couple of ADs that responded to me, a couple of days ago, and neither one of them felt like they probably would be involved, but they weren't the ones that Terry Mahaja's an AD, Director of Athletics, but it didn't seem like they were also going to be a part of it. Here's another note. And one of the other quotes was, we support the developmental business partnership, et cetera, for the Big 12 that it creates across the conference, forward-thinking, proactive approach that will help drive future revenue growth. UC Athletics, again, will not be a part of the one-time credit. And then there is Tim Pernetti, the commissioner of the AAC, appearing on a podcast this week, and really about the constant changing we've seen over the last, almost 4 or 5 years. Not the only time, but with conference realignment, conferences losing teams, programs, schools, and then going to get others. It's kind of like a dog-eat-dog world. Here's Tim Pernetti on that.
We trying to rate each other when we could probably sit down and talk about building something different or creating something more national, which, by the way, would attract the interest of not only TV partners, but outside capital investment, brands. Like, there's something to that, because the reality is college sports doesn't look the way it did 10 years ago. So just trying to do the same old model of, like, I need a team, let me grab from them, and then that person grabs from this guy and this guy. And I think the fans have fatigue from all this stuff. I really do.
Yeah, I agree 100% with him.
I agree.
On the fatigue factor.
But
they love it.
I was going to say, but they talk realignment every single day and just make up just absurd kind of scenarios. But then a lot of ones that could very well, that they're a bit more based in reality that, may unfold here in the next 5 years. I understand his position, but I don't think that everybody has realignment fatigue, because there's definitely still an interest there and always will be, I think. But unfortunately for him, I think that's not going anywhere until we get to these next round of TV contracts. And then maybe at that point you create a system where realignment is sort of out the window, or it's just vastly different than what it has been the last several decades, where it's going and poaching teams or bumping teams up, whatever the case may be. Yeah, maybe you get to a structure where everybody's kind of under the same umbrella, and maybe that's the big breakaway. And that's how that ceases. And then the realignment after that would be like some possibly relegation. And that's how you would see any realignment moving forward, as opposed to an SEC going and plucking the Texas and OU or so on and so forth. But yeah, I understand from his position. I mean, they've been rated as much as anybody over the last few years. I mean, he probably knew at the time, but maybe not to the extent that when Texas and OU left the Big 12, he was probably, I mean, business-wise, hoping the Big 12 would die, because he knew what was the alternative. If they don't die, what are they going to do? They're going to turn around and go, who can we go get to backfill? And what did they do? They came, they said, we'll take Houston, we'll take UCF, and we'll take why is it always impossible for me to remember? Cincinnati, because then it was BYU was independent, obviously. So, yeah, they grabbed Cincinnati fresh off the playoff championship run. Houston had been great. This Tom Herman, those couple years where they were the talk of town. And, yeah, I mean, those programs were really successful there in the AAC, and then they're just taken like that, and you're left to then have to go make your own moves, and there's only so many places you can turn. So, yeah, I think if I was in his position, I would absolutely be looking for scenarios where that doesn't happen again in the future. But yeah, I just think that's life in the AAC right now. Is you're not in a position of strength. You're at the mercy of moves made above you, and that's a crappy place to be in, for sure.
Mike Oresco was the commissioner at the time. Then Pernetti came on, and you're right. Remember, part of that, like the darkest times after the Texas and OU story popped about them leaving, and Bob Bowlesby was taking a beating because why weren't you paying attention to your backyard? And we've had him on a couple of times in that time period. And he put out the cease and desist with ESPN and the American Conference, because there was at least a report that perhaps ESPN was going to help the American get some teams out of the Big 12. Whether that was ever true or not, but there was a cease and desist that shut it down. And then eventually it was the American Conference where the Big 12 went and plucked some teams away, as you mentioned, along with BYU.
Yeah, so we'll see. I think he's got to be ready for any scenario. I mean, I don't think he's got a bunch of teams now that he has to worry about getting plucked. I don't know that the list of teams at the top level, if you will, just continues to grow. It feels like we're entering a space where, if anything, it'll decrease. The bar to reach will be so high financially that it's going to be impossible, I think, for just more and more schools to keep jumping into the pool. But who knows, man? I mean, things can turn on a dime, and college football sometimes can be super predictable, and a lot of times it can be unpredictable, or just the timing of things are the unpredictable part. And so, yeah, I'm sure he would love to have a conversation with Cody Campbell if he hasn't already. I'm sure he would love for that nationalized TV deal, for everybody to sign the same TV agreement, and in theory, from Cody Campbell's perspective, all make more money. I'm sure he would love to lock into old, more geographic, precise conferences, because I'm sure if we did that, then he'd probably be the commissioner of one of those divisions or something. But yeah, I don't know how realistic that is right now. I think everybody's kind of figuring that out and preparing for any scenario, including a scenario like the one that I just laid out there.
All right, so there's that story with Tim Pernetti. Like, why are we rating each other? Because if you rate somebody, then somebody else. And usually you rate somebody because somebody did get one of your teams or three. And so, yeah, you got to go find whoever is going to at least replace them. And that just seems to be a cycle that never ends.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really address that question, but I mean, yeah, you're rating because you're trying to stay afloat, and you're trying to survive, and you don't care if the AAC survives. I mean, the Big 12 did not care if the Americans survived because they had to survive themselves. The SEC didn't care if the Big 12 survived. They were going to survive regardless, but they're like, oh, we can have more cake. We can have like the nicest cakes, Texas and Oklahoma. We're going to go. We don't need them, but we can make way more money with them and be way more powerful with them and way more influential. So, yeah, let's go take them. They're additive. And then there's that chain reaction. So, I mean, the answer to his question is easy. Why do we do this? Well, because everybody's choosing to fight for themselves. And when you've got these individual leagues run by individual commissioners, it's not about the good of the greater overall game. It's about ACC survives, Big Ten survives, Big 12, like whatever league, are just trying to do the best for themselves. And so, yeah, that's just not the climate that we live in. That's the easy answer to his question. It's just obviously something you don't want to hear, it being that black and white. But that's all it is, because, yeah, everybody's looking out for their own well-being.
All right, Greg Sankey, we had a comment or two. There was a lot of interviews, SEC coaches, ADs, whatever. We had the one earlier with Kirby Smart. One of them was, of course, a lengthy interview with SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, who, if you took a poll, I think a lot of people like him, and there's a lot of people that think that he is the evil empire. Well, he also hears that too. But he was asked about, and we hear this, you want championships decided on the field, and he will discuss this. And yet there are now some schools, coaches, who don't want to play in the conference championship games, including some within his own conference, because that's one more game that might knock you out, and it might be one more game that just validates you and maybe helps you get in. Here's Greg Sankey and why he's against, at least for right now, in any type of discussion about getting rid of the SEC championship game.
Remember the days of old when everybody talked about we need to determine champions on the field? Well, what do we do through the SEC championship game? We determine champions on the field. Now, you can do it another way. You could just say, we're not going to have a championship game, winning percentage, tiebreakers like we have co-champions reign, and then you'll have to determine your CFP qualifier. So one of the counters, we determine a champion on the field. The other perspective is we can determine a champion now that we play 9 games. The second is we do have contracts. And you don't just get to walk away from agreements. That happens in college football a lot, and we see with individual decisions, but as an organization, we have a great relationship with the Atlanta Falcons, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the city of Atlanta. And so those should not be just microphone moments for people to opine. We have to do the work to figure out, if we were to vary from a conference championship game, what's the work that has to be done? And then thirdly, what we did as a league way back in the early 90s, we've made a movie about it. It airs on the SEC network. Everyone has followed. So the flippancy with just moving away, we need to tone that down and figure out how to manage the economics, the contracts, the competitive issues, and what that means for our own group of 16.
I love the part when he said microphone moments, you know, the sound bites or whatever. Now, there are times when I want to just, and maybe one of these days we ask, he'll come on the show. I think we're kind of making some progress there. And yet there's times when he makes a lot of sense. And I'm like, okay, he's not evil. And in that case, it's more about getting rid of championship games when right now you have contracts. And is that really what's best for the conference?
Yeah, I mean, I've never thought the guy was evil. I've never thought
in college football terms, evil sounds like the Kremlin or something like that. I get what you're saying. He's not like the fan favorite all the time, and I don't think he tries to be. And I think sometimes he leans into being the quote unquote villain of the story. So yeah, not everything that he does people are going to agree with, and it's just hard when guys talk about the greater good and then turn around and, like we were just discussing, like ultimately he does what's best for the SEC. You wish that he would do what's best for the greater good, and maybe in his own way he thinks that what's best for the SEC is best for the greater good. So he can explain it that way. But yeah, when they go and they take Texas and Oklahoma and they're running the show up until here the last 3 years, it kind of felt like the world was at their mercy. And nobody likes being in that position. And it's not like they said, no, everybody's cool. They were like, yeah, deal with it. That was basically the message, was like, do something about it. And that just, I don't think came across very well. And so, yeah, you kind of put yourself in this bad guy role, whether intentionally or not. And little did you know, probably when you were doing that the Big Ten was about to come and win 3 straight national championships and totally flip this narrative on its head. But at the time, think about when the Texas-Oklahoma happened, who was still running the show? Mm-hmm. Without question, it was him and his league. And now they're plucking like the biggest brands they could possibly take. And look, they might still pick some more here in the next few years. I think that's debatable, and it definitely remains to be seen, obviously. But yeah, there's times where I listen to him, to your point. I've never thought he's like evil. I think that's ridiculous. But I don't necessarily always agree with him. And I do think, like I said, he's leaned into being a bad guy sometimes. But I do think that he has
good ideas. And I do think that he's a needed voice to just kind of counteract maybe some of Tony Petitti's ideas, or just to provide a balance so that we don't have one guy running the show, and same vice versa. Tony Petitti is a nice counterweight to Greg Sankey, because if it was just Greg Sankey's idea, we'd have 16 playoff teams and we'd have like no automatic qualifiers, and there'd be 12 of the 16 would be from the SEC, right? And then on the other hand, if it was just Tony Petitti, then wow, that's awfully similar, isn't it? No wonder that's confusing.
Yeah.
It would be 24 and this and that and the other. So we need different voices. I think his is valuable. I think your Mark's is valuable. I think so on and so forth. Jim Phillips. So yeah, I like some of what I hear from Greg Sankey. I'm sure we're still banned from SEC Media Days.
No. I reached out to Dunlap. He's the media relations guy. Traded a couple of emails back and forth. I think that there's some progress there.
We'll see. I mean, yeah, then that's cool. And it's never been like it's like the Gary Patterson thing with me, where I just kind of play into it and play it up like a bit, basically. Or is the Gary Patterson thing a bit? But no, seriously, I think that with the Sankey stuff, and what was he talking about originally here? I'm just kind of drifting. At the
SEC.
moment. Oh, the championship.
Not
game. Yeah,
doing
like
a championship.
That comes back to the TV contract. I mean, that's all that is. Once that TV contract runs out, then they can do whatever they want to. And I do think they're probably having a lot of interesting conversations. And a lot of those are similar to what you hear on shows like ours and just on social media of what's the best way to move forward. Are we doing a full final weekend where it was the conference title game, but it's now a conference title game and there's a couple of other games because those are now play-in games, and those teams, and they win and they move on and get in the college football playoff? Like, how do we determine that? There's a lot of interesting ideas. I know a lot of media guys that propose their versions, and commissioners, I'm sure, have their versions. But for right now, the easy thing to default to is like, there's still a TV contract. And I do think that he's smart in that we created this. We can't just pull the plug because everybody did follow our lead. So we need to think about this and think this through. And then when the time comes where we're not beholden to having to hold this thing, what does that look like? That'll be very interesting, because there's a lot of ideas out there about what could spice things up or make things more interesting. And also, I'm sure in his head, be more beneficial to his league in particular.
I like the what he said. Remember the days of old when everybody talked that we need to determine champions on the field?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I do. And I remember that those conversations all happened before there were like 16-team conferences, and when there was more of a balance, because it made sense to have the champions, because like in the Big 12, they all played each other. So now you have conferences where the team that wins the championship might not have played the third, fourth, and sixth best teams. They played like the second and the fifth, and they played like the bottom three teams or bottom six teams or whatever. So now you have scenarios where I know in the other case you're going to have an automatic rematch, but it's definitely your best two teams because they've played everybody. So you've proven it out there. Now that's not possible in any league at that level anymore. Everybody's going to miss a handful of teams on their schedule. So that's as much as anything is what's taken the weight out of the conference championship game, is that it just doesn't feel like it's the one true champion, if you will, because Georgia didn't play this team, that team, and the other team, and I think this team's actually better than them, but they lost to Bama, so they didn't get to play them, and so we never figured that out until maybe we get into the actual playoff itself. So, yeah, I think realignment is a driving factor in what's watered down the conference championship game.
Zach Barnett will join us today at 4:30, and he has a column about the Georgia football team in 21, where it is compared to the greatest champions of all time.
Realignment and an expanded playoff.
Yeah.
Because now you win the conference championship game back in the day, like, oh, we're going to the Rose Bowl. Well, now we lost, but we're still going to the Rose Bowl. We're going to go play in the first round of the play or second round of the playoff, whatever. So, yeah, that chapter we just lived 4 or 5 years ago, between realignment and expanded playoff, that really threw, I think, the conference title game importance for a loop. And so that's why we're now exploring alternatives.
All right. You want to do Warren Buffett here, or you want to break and come back with his quotes on gambling?
Just really, whatever you want to do.
Let's. What do you want to do, Rez?
Let's just take a break, I guess.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. So, yeah, in fact, Rhett Lashley, I thought a great answer from him when brought up Brendan Sorsby, what's happening as an education for everybody throughout college sports and athletics. Everybody, really. Warren Buffett has some interesting thoughts about gambling, what it is to him or what he thinks it is. And then we'll have Zach Barnett today around 4:25 or so. And then today also, Michael Germanisi. He wrote a column about the transfer portal, and maybe he looks at it differently. Maybe not it's all of what people think it is. That is going to be at 5. We appreciate your time. This is the Smoke Show at 365 Sports. Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, a month has turned now into May 1st, as some of you in the chat room have said. Happy May Day. Alan Samuels with a really beautiful facility and all sorts of Ram trucks, whether it's a Ram, like, for example, large, big dually type trucks that can haul pretty much anything, or just the ones, the 1500, which are also like luxurious SUVs inside, but have the toughness to do what you want. The Jeep Wagoneer, a fantastic SUV. The Jeep Cherokee, Jeep Grand Cherokee. They just had the celebration event that it just wrapped up. But there are still some great prices, discounts, and opportunities for you to drive home in the car, truck, or SUV that you want, and a pre-owned inventory that is always packed as they get those sold and new cars coming in. It is Ted Teague, the general manager, CEO. David Gray handles the sales department. There's McDade and LB and many others. They do a great job at Alan Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
It's in the major leagues for 24 years. And let me tell you, I can feel it in my joints. Shoulders, elbows, and knees. Trust me, pain doesn't retire when you do. I tried everything to get rid of the pain. Nothing worked until QC Kinetics.
Baseball legend Roger Clemens and other patients are getting lasting relief with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. No surgery.
I trust QC Kinetics. You should too. Let's commit to getting rid of all the pain.
Schedule your free consultation today. QC Kinetics. Better starts here.
With over 25 years of excellence in IT, Carrion Solutions is your trusted technology partner. From managed IT services to cutting-edge cybersecurity, our expert team delivers tailored solutions that drive success. Our portfolio includes products such as Veeam, Bitdefender, Microsoft, Cisco, and Fortinet. Call David Carrion and his team of experts. Call 888-522-2221 or visit us at carrionsolutions.com.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Hello, I'm Camille Johnson with Camille Johnson Realtors. We specialize in selling residential real estate agent all across our community, and we love serving all types of families. We have been in business at Camille Johnson Realtors for almost 9 years, and I have been a residential real estate agent for almost 40 years. And we love our partnership with 365. So thank you for partnering with me, and thank you so much to all of my clients who have made our company a success.
Join the celebration. It's 27 years for Richard Car Motors, and we're celebrating with big anniversary savings. The GMC Sierra delivers strength, power, and a refined interior loaded with premium comfort and technology. During Richard Car's 27th anniversary sale, find savings like $9,000 off all Sierra 1500 Pro and SLE models in stock. Thank you, Central Texas, for 27 years. Log on, call, or come by today to find big anniversary savings now.
Richard Car, they have the truck for you.
Pepperoni Magnifico. Pepperoni Magnifico. Marco's Pepperoni Magnifico. Classic and crispy cut pepperoni, 3 melty cheeses, all on our fresh made dough. And starting at just $12.99 for a large, it's no wonder Marco's was named America's favorite pizza chain.
This 4 o'clock hour is brought to you by Stonewood Dental, your one-stop shop for your dental needs, specializing in teeth cleaning, fillings, crowns, sealants, root canals, IV sedation, extractions, implants, bridges, dentures, full mouth restorations, and bioaesthetic dentistry. Our priority is your comfort from the moment you walk through the front door. Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas. It's time for the Smoke Show on 365 Sports with Craig Smoke and David Smoke.
All right, so we just asked Rhett Lashley near the end of the interview about the educational purposes with his players and everywhere about the Brendan Sorsby story that popped on Monday and has been carried throughout the week. And obviously he is in a facility trying to figure things out, and whatever happens eligibility-wise is going to happen one way or the other. Now, Warren Buffett, this is from Mike Florio, who writes a ton about the NFL from Pro Football Talk, but he discussed with Warren Buffett about gambling. Here are a couple of quotes about the truth in his opinion.
He didn't discuss from a CNBC interview. He's taking quotes from a CNBC interview with Warren Buffett.
I know that.
Oh, I thought you said Florio discussed.
It's Mike
with
Florio.
No.
It's the article that I saw on Pro Football Talk. I'm sorry, Pro Football Talk. So he basically said sports betting in simple terms it's a tax on stupidity to the extent that states raise money from people who the dollar really means something to them. It actually relieves the taxes on me or other rich people. It's not direct, but it's the net effect. And then on that also, he added this: I don't like things that make a sucker out of people. I don't think the function of the government is to play its people for suckers.
Yeah, so he was on CNBC and he said this, and Florio wrote an article about it and dove really deep into it if you want to read into it. I don't know all the ins and outs. Like, again, he gets into like the particulars of gambling and what exactly Warren Buffett means by this. It's not just like, oh, wow, what a powerful and interesting statement. It's actually, by adding billions to the tax base, it makes it easier for the rich to pay
almost
less in
$3
taxes. Sports betting in 2025 raised $2.89 billion in tax revenue for states that legalized it. And so he gets into the particulars of what Buffett's actually saying here for those that would be interested in the full explanation of it. Because for me, I just hear that and I'm like, it just sounds like he doesn't like gambling. He just sounds like he thinks people who gamble are dumb. And that's not exactly what he's saying, but he is saying that too. So, I mean, it's a taboo topic. There are a bunch of defensive people in the comment section of this article. There's people who gamble that know how to deal with things just like they do with alcohol or whatever other vice may be. They know how to deal in moderation. Unfortunately, there's people that don't. There's people like Brendan Sorsby, clearly, who couldn't moderate themselves. And those people find themselves sometimes walking on a slippery slope. And that's where you get into danger zone territory. And I've seen plenty of people who have lost savings and thousands, if not in some, probably even the richer people's cases who got into betting, millions of dollars. Not sure on Sorsby in particular, but sounds like thousands of dollars. And it's one of those things that hopefully you've got a good head about yourself, some good wits about yourself, and you know when to kind of curb that appetite. But I think for a younger generation that now has been just inundated with it, I'm not sure how often you're running into situations where they don't know how to moderate it, and it does become this bad addiction. So it's like any other vice. Like I said, I think it's a case-by-case basis, but it is something like smoking, where I do think we need to be proactive as a country to better educate and not just go like, here, young people, or anybody for that matter, not even just young people, but here, just go gamble away everything. I saw somebody in the comments say like, well, no, the biggest racket is lotto tickets. And you can make an argument like, okay, yeah, like there's a lot of, I see every, when I used to go to the gas station by work on a regular basis, like every Wednesday there was an extra long line because people were lining up to buy that night's lottery ticket. So I think there's a place for it. I just personally, it's like I've said before, it's never been my thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm not affected by it in any way, shape, or form. Like if they just widespread legalize it across Texas, it wouldn't change anything for me. Like maybe I would create an account, but I have no desire to get involved with it. Whereas other past and other vices I got involved with. It's like everybody has their thing. And I think there is a little bit of a crisis right now when it comes to the gambling side, because unlike maybe some of those other vices, you turn on any sporting event and it's DraftKings, it's this, it's that, the other. And while they're telling you about some rookie signing a contract, they're also telling you how you can bet on the next guy's contract or whatever. Now you got prediction markets involved, and it all feels very gross and kind of corrupt, and there's just too much of it in the universe swirling around right now. So I think we're reaching a point where everybody's kind of coming to grips on where we are with all of this, and kind of going like, we may have a little bit of a problem we need to curtail. And at the very least, we need to really make sure the message is out there and education's out there to try and help people that may need some help before they need the help.
They got to want it, though. They got to want it. And one of the things that the argument about legalized gambling is that it's like a lot of things. If you don't legalize it, people are going to still gamble. So maybe try to have some sort of a control over it, whether you really do or not.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, but I just think that there's just people who are supposed to be in charge who are so consumed with the money. I think you're seeing that with prediction markets right now. It should be something that's probably a bit tighter regulated, but I don't think the people that are in charge of that really want it to be, because I think they're making trillions of dollars at this point. And so it feels like there's a reckoning coming where there's going to be an adjustment of some sort. I just don't know if it's going to happen in the very near future. But the Sorsby thing has created a lot of discussion, and people have to be responsible for themselves ultimately. But I do think we've done a bit of a disservice to people and just inundating them, like I said, with like just totally normalizing it like it's taking a drink of water in the morning kind of thing,
Bracket Cat, what's supposed to be or sounded like an insult was actually just a really nice, kind recommendation from what he was saying. What are there more commercials? And I asked this just ED, pharmaceutical sales, where I think they take 9 consonants and 1 vowel, throw it up in the air, however it lands, you spell out the next drug, or gambling. I don't know the answer to that. I could probably look it up. Yeah. And I might be missing 1 or 2 as well.
I don't know. I just kind of zone out during commercial breaks most of the time at this point, because I just do. But I mean, all those things are out front. I mean, you're going to talk about petty clinic low T at some point, right? I mean, so it's all over the place. Now you got personal experience with that. It's not just your like Kalshi slap something on and you're just rolling with it. That's actually personal, but I mean, those gambling ads are just all over the place now. And I do think he probably looks, and if you, again, read deeper into the article, a lot of it's Florio commentary. So that's why I can't really explain it if you haven't read it. And I need to probably like read it again to fully grasp the points he's making. But Buffett, says that it basically makes a sucker out of people, is what he said. And I don't think that's an insult so much as it's an indictment of what he thinks the industry is or is becoming. And so, I don't think he's like, you people are suckers, even though you people are suckers. He's more or less pointing the finger at gambling itself based on what my interpretation of the article was. And it was definitely an insult to some people because they're working against their own best interest in his point. But I don't think it's like a personal shot, if that makes sense.
Retail, 19% of all TV ad spending in 2025. This according to eMarketer. They don't break down some of these categories into like the health categories is just health categories. Consumer packaged goods, 15%. Financial services, you see a lot of those. Healthcare and pharma, which is it could be all of that. Media and entertainment, automotive and telecom.
So what is that?
Those are the top spending professions through all of last year in TV ads.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so gambling's up there. Yeah.
I was bringing that up because I was trying to figure out is it ED, pharmaceuticals? Well, they're combined into the same category, or is it gambling? But I don't see gambling at all listed here.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it doesn't really matter how many car commercials are running or whatever to the point of what Warren Buffett's talking about. So, I mean, we know there's a ton of those. I don't know if it breaks down by fast food commercials versus car commercials versus gambling. There's not a problem with the fast food and the car commercials when it comes to sports right now. The problem's with the gambling. And I think one of the things that he mentioned that I do think was valid, and And now, of course, my deal would scroll down. He said, I don't like things that make a sucker out of people, which is what I mentioned earlier. I don't think the function of the government is to play its people for suckers. And I think that's where we are at a crossroads now with these prediction markets, where you do have some very curious things going on where like it's not gambling, but it totally is. And there's a lot of side-eyeing it, like very clearly there's some insider info being used by some people in power that know of decisions that are being made before they're being made. And to what degree or to what expanse that is, we can't pinpoint that. Maybe someday we will. And the day that we do, boy, that's going to be a doozy of a story. Like, who's betting on the war before like things even happen? Who's betting on oil like right before things happen? I hope that we uncover that one day, but that has added an absolute immense amount of gasoline onto this entire conversation here of late. So I'm interested in what happens with the prediction markets, because they've been protected so far. But I don't know that as things change and evolve, that will always be the case. But they've found a nice secure lane for themselves, and they're taking full advantage of it right now. And that's only added more to this whole pie of the gambling world and its risks and yeah, the risks to damage the reputation of your league, as you're seeing with some leagues having to be very mindful of their partnerships and also what's allowed and what's not allowed.
All right, so we've discussed this before, and then it kind of went on the back burner, but it's still out there. The 5 years to play 5, and the NCAA, Charlie Baker, the president, are feeling good about this getting through eventually. And yet you read all the responses, or a lot of the responses from legal minds, and they're like, no, this isn't going to pass the test, like many things that the NCAA has tried to do. I like the idea, but one of the things, here's Colton Benson. He's a basketball player. Here's one of the responses he had to the 5 for 5 as a young man who's about to graduate. So you're telling me my class, who played 4 seasons in 4 years, had to play with and against 5th, 6th, and 7th year guys, fight for roster spots and scholarships, and now you're telling us we will not get a 5th year, but everyone after us can. Weird.
It's not that weird, Colton. I mean, I understand your frustration, but so if they give you another year, then you're the exact people that you were talking about having to play against. So now you're the 5th, 6th, and 7th year people. I think the basic point of this is that there's going to be people that are unhappy. If you do it this year, it's all the people that get cut off. If you do it next year, guess what? There's still going to be people pissed, because then they're the ones that are getting cut off. If you do it 2 years from now, guess who's going to be pissed? That class that gets cut off. So you have to do it at some point. So we're just seeing an example of somebody that's going to be directly affected by it. And it's understandable that they would be not that much of a fan of this ruling, because they could stand to benefit and play another year of college ball. And that's totally understandable. But you have to start it at some point. If you're, we can't do this until everybody's happy with it, well, then guess what? Nothing's ever going to change, because there's a class that has to be the one that the line is drawn. And I'm all for them doing it sooner rather than later. I totally understand. You played 4 in 4 years, and you'd love to play a 5th year. That sucks, but that's also life. And so I think that's all there is to it, really. I mean, I don't think there's some super compelling argument of why this particular class should delay it for another single year. And then 2027, that class should get, quote unquote, screwed over or whatever. So, yeah, I mean,
not everything's fair in life.
Yeah, and I'm probably actually not using the best example, because if they established it now, then like we're speaking specifically about people like him. So, yeah, I mean, but that's basically what it is. Not everything's fair. You have to start it at some point. And so, yeah, you're unfortunately going to be the ones that get affected by this. And that's just one of those breaks in life that didn't go your way. And that's really all there is to it. It sucks. Totally get it. But it's what they have to do.
Well, I don't know if this is the right analogy, because it's absolutely, because it could be, like your life is at risk. But there used to be a draft where you were drafted to enter and serve our country. And then all of a sudden that disappeared. Those before you, it's just part of timelines. And that, of course, a much different idea, but it's still the same idea as far as sometimes you're just on the wrong side of it.
Yeah, I guess a way to kind of clean that up a little bit would be that the draft cutoff where you didn't get drafted, but the guy the year before you got drafted, and he's like, "Well, that's unfair. That guy didn't have to get drafted. I got drafted." Well, they had to create the start of something new somewhere. So sorry that it happened your particular year, but it has to start somewhere. So I'm all for the 5 for 5. I just feel like getting to a place where eligibility makes some sense and is structured. Again, it's going to be like a lot of other things. The record books and things are going to be thrown for an absolute loop. It's like the NFL adding more regular season games. All of a sudden, the new rushing leaders had like 4 extra games to play than the previous guy.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks for Eric Dickerson, but guess what? It is what it is. So you can put an asterisk next to it if you want to. But yeah, there's going to be guys who are breaking rushing records or passing records because they're playing their 5th year, whereas everybody else got 4 of them. And that's unfair, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
Single season and career records, because, by the way, there was a time when the NFL had 12 games, and Jim Brown's record it eventually was shattered with those when they played 14 or 16. Mark Eisenberg with the response. Charlie Baker, pretty optimistic about the 5 and 5 years of playing, 5 years to play 5. Mark Eisenberg, this is a similar deal. This freshman class that entered in 2022 got no COVID year. Walked into a backlog of players who did, and now gets hit again because the NCAA and members waited until the portal to act. And then unfair, but right on brand when it comes to the NCAA. But at least they're trying. They're trying to get it done, whether they can or not. And all it takes is for one player, student athlete, male, female, whatever sport, to sue the NCAA for an extra year. And then, well, again, there's another blurred line.
Well, I can see where like that class in particular feels like they got doubly screwed over based on his example there. So, yeah, it sucks for them. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, it's just the way life breaks sometimes. It's not always fair. And in your case, yeah, you got doubly screwed maybe in some certain cases. But again, if we start doing the case-by-case basis thing of like, oh, well, that's just what we're doing with eligibility already. So we're just going to have another round of Trinidad Chambliss or Owen Heineke trying to get another year. I mean, like that's what they're trying to put a stop to. And so this is their solution to doing that. Not everybody's going to agree to it, just like everything the NCAA does is not going to be overall unanimous, but it's what they're presenting. So I don't know what to say at this point other than like, that's just the breaks, kid. I mean, that's just how it's going to be. Yeah. If it is in fact something that's going to go through.
One final note, and then Zach Barnett. This is the annual, used to be called the Sears Cup, and it's changed along the way, but this is all of the NCAA programs, all of their athletics that are NCAA championship certified, and where they are after maybe you win a national title in swimming or track and field, indoor, outdoor. And of course, there's a lot more still to be determined with baseball, softball, and track and field. This guy does a great job in keeping up with it and calculating as teams lose in a tournament or they advance in a tournament. 4 teams are going to win. One of these 4 are going to win the Directors Cup. Texas has won, I think, with the last couple of years. And if it's been 3, I apologize. Stanford is always in the mix too. Then there's UCLA and then Florida. Now, it might be you are in a tournament and you're thinking, okay, you're going to pick up 15, 20, or 40 points, and then you get knocked out and you might not get those kind of points. There's a lot more out there, but these are the deepest of the deep when it comes to athletics and piling up high rankings as far as finishes, championships, regional or conference titles, etc. And right now, UT leading the way to try to win this yet again.
Yeah, they've won it a couple of years in a row.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
I didn't know exactly what their recent history was, but yeah, they've been a recent juggernaut when it comes to this. And for a long time there, it was Stanford all the way, winning it seemingly every year. UCLA popped in, Florida popped in. So, yeah, that's about who I would have guessed. I mean, this has been kind of the constant combo of teams for a couple decades now that are typically in this spot because a lot of other schools might have a little success in a couple of sports or in a handful of sports. But, I mean, UT's like all their swimming and diving championships and like the track and field, then you add onto that and so on and so forth. I mean, volleyball. Obviously, both men's and women's basketball had great runs. But yeah, I mean, I remember Stanford would win a bunch of the swimming titles, and like water polo, or UCLA would win water polo, and like that, those kind of sports that typically you wouldn't pay attention to. You got to have a really well-rounded athletic program, and they all do. And Stanford's kind of an afterthought football-wise right now, but they luckily, I mean, such an Olympic training ground. They've luckily been able to continue to be that same high standard even in this NIL world, and hopefully that continues, because these are 4 schools that produce a lot of our Olympians, and just have a great overall athletic departments, not just in a couple of sports. They're well funded, that definitely helps. They're large schools, that definitely helps. But should be an interesting race. I don't know what the necessary mark for Texas is to win. Like, does baseball need to make a certain round or what? But
that's what this guy does.
He's a Texas fan.
Yeah, I know he is.
Yeah.
But he's damn good. Direct_cup dates on Twitter. He he's a Texas fan, but he'll say, hey, North Carolina or whoever, he does a great job of when somebody gets knocked out or they're in a tournament of what it means, and keeps up with it no matter the school. Stanford used to have 30-something sports, and they won 26 of these. Texas has won 4 of the last 5. And there's kind of a new, point system that they use based on the sports. The 19 NCAA sports are actually counted, even though there are some programs or schools that is upward of like 35 or 36 programs. Here, in fact, are let's see here. I know we have Zach in a minute. Don't tap your fingers at me.
I'm just waiting for you to speak on this radio show.
I know. I'm annoying. Let's see here. In Division I, the point system counts the top 19 sports at each school with the following breakdowns, 5 of which must be baseball, men's and women's basketball, women's soccer, and women's volleyball. Then they take the next 14 highest sports based on each institution. Football, of course, is a part of it as well. So it depends on how many sports you have, but you could only count up to 19 in Division I. All right, when we come back, Zach Barnett, footballscoop.com. Do you have an addendum to that?
No.
Thank you very much. Hit the subscribe button. If you have, thank you very much. If you haven't hit the like button, then do that too. We appreciate your time. This is 365 Sports and the Smoke Show. We got some great sponsors on this show. We really do. We appreciate all of them. And one of them is Stonewood Dental. My good friend Steve Childress, Dr. Steve Childress at Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas. I feel great about where I am with my dental work, even though I've aged and at times not taken care of my dental work the way I should. And more of that, it's not whether you take care, brush and you floss and all that. It's like when something doesn't seem right, you're like, oh my God, I don't want to go to the dentist. They're going to put a needle in my roof of my mouth and they're going to, whatever, it pulls the tooth. That happens. Well, it's like anything else. Like if your car starts to act up, why wait until you're on the highway and it just shuts down and starts smoking the engine? You're done. And you got to get someone to tow you, or maybe a new car. Same thing with your dental work. Take care of it with the normal maintenance. But if something doesn't feel right, get to your dentist. And mine is Dr. Steve Childress. And they have others, like 5 other dentists inside of Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas. I used to be one of those who's like, not going. Now, something like feels weird, I'm calling. And I get an appointment, let them look at it, take care of it, or at least say, okay, no, that's not, it's okay. If you don't, then you need to. At Stonewood Dental, my dentist is Dr. Steve Childress in Robinson, Texas.
Petty Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide. Affordable, highly effective. Google search Petty Clinic Waco and reach out to the Petty Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pettycliniclowt.com.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
When you play hard, sometimes you fall hard. Sports injuries require special treatment. At Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, our team of expert doctors provides athletes and active adults with comprehensive sports medicine care, diagnostics. Whether you're in high school, college, or beyond, we'll help you get back on the field. Call on the team physicians for Baylor Athletics. Call Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics.
I pitched in the major leagues for 24 years, and let me tell you, I can feel it in my joints. Shoulders, elbows, and knees. Trust me, pain doesn't retire when you do. I tried everything to get rid of the pain. Nothing worked until QC Kinetics.
Baseball legend Roger Clemens and other patients are getting lasting relief with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments. No surgery.
I trust QC Kinetics. You should too. Let's commit to getting rid of all the pain.
Schedule your free consultation today. QC Kinetics. Better starts here.
From the TFNB Your Bank for Life studio. Now, it's time for the SMOAK Show. Presented by IdealMRI.com. Premium quality MRIs, convenient, affordable. That's ideal. And by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. We are Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, your insurance provider built by Texans for Texans. And we've been protecting families in our great state since 1952. TFNB, your bank for life, serving Central Texans since 1889. It's time for the SMOAK Show on 365 Sports with David Smoke and Craig Smoke.
365 Sports as we head to the middle part of the 4 o'clock hour. Craig and David Smoke, thank you for your time. Zach Barnett, footballscoop.com with us, who had a story about the most dominant, best ever single season college football team. And it was interesting because earlier in the show, we had the Kirby Smart audio about comparing teams today, the best ones, to what was it like maybe 10 years ago. Zach, thank you very much for your time. So the story about Georgia, was this bang for your buck, draft picks, etc., compared to the historical part of college football?
Yeah, so I get frustrated every year when the NFL draft rolls around because we'll just say, well, Team X had 7 draft picks, Team Y had 7 draft picks, and therefore their draft picks were the same. Meanwhile, Team Y, 4 of their picks went off the board in the 7th round. The entire idea of the draft is that the draft picks are not worth equal. That's why we're doing this. They get incrementally less valuable the longer we go in the draft. So I created a system. It's very complicated. I'll try to explain it to you right now. The first pick is worth 250 points. The second pick is worth 249 points. The third is worth 248 points, and on you go. So you add all those together, and that's where I come up with my selection points formula. So Ohio State has had the best individual draft the last 2 seasons. Yes, they've had a lot of guys picked, but the majority of those guys go in the first round, and certainly within the first 100 picks. So in addition to analyzing each draft, I've gone back and analyzed all the national champions since 2001. And just this past season, or this past weekend, 2021 Georgia passed 2017 Alabama for, according to my formula, the most talented team of all time. They've had 40 guys picked with, I don't have it in front of me, but something like 6,400 selection points. That's 45 draft picks taken somewhere around the third round. 2017 Alabama, had 40 draft picks with like 6,300 points. So their guys were taken, on average, early third round, 40 draft picks. That's incredible. Georgia got them just a little bit on sheer volume, but they did pass them.
Zach, given the transfer portal and just the lack of, I know Kirby Smart in that clip that's gone viral from next round about, now the depth's just not there like it was a few years ago for SEC teams. Like, will 2021 Georgia ever be topped in terms of total number of picks? Like, is the climate there for that to ever be the case where there's that many guys that end up going off to the NFL, you think?
That's an interesting question because I'm not going to say definitively yes, but I'm not going to say definitively no either. Like, I think that 2024 Ohio State team, like this past Indiana team's not going to approach 45 picks at all. They only had 7 this past year, but Ohio State is already at 23 picks. That's last year's Ohio State team through 2 seasons. Now they're about halfway there, but in theory they've got 3 more classes to go, including a number of guys, starting with Jeremiah Smith, that for all we know might be the number 1 pick next year. So I think it would have to be a perfect storm type, because you look at how the Texases, the Ohio States, the Georgias are filling their rosters, and they're paying up for the top guys. Their top 8 to 10 guys are still going to be the top 8 to 10 guys that they would have been 10 years ago. The difference is your third defensive end in your class is not going to be the 100th ranked player in the country anymore. He's going to be the 300th ranked country, because the 100th ranked player in the country is going to make too much money to go play for fill in the blank, go play for Baylor, go play for Ole Miss, someone like that. But you're still going to have a lot of draft picks, a lot of future first-round picks in your recruiting classes, and then you're going to supplement that with, to pick that Ohio State, a Will Howard, a Quinshon Judkins, guys that are going to come in on contract years and go hopefully move from a 4th-round pick to a 2nd-round pick because they're playing for you. Like, they're not going to make it into my study because they didn't win the national championship, but Ohio State going out and get a Max Clare from Purdue, and he 1 year as a Buckeye, he's now a 2nd-round pick. So it's going to be different. You're not going to stash guys for 3-4 years and then get them on the field. Like an Arvell Reese is kind of an outlier. Like, guy that didn't really play for his first few years, busts on the scene, and now is a 1st-round pick. You're not going to be able to have 15 of those guys on your roster anymore, but you're still going to have a whole lot of draft picks.
Zach, what was your response to Tim Pernetti? He said a lot of things about, one, why do we eat ourselves, like eat our own, because conferences lose a team. They got to go find a team. But he also endorsed the Group of 6 playoff with an asterisk. What were your thoughts about what he said there?
Yeah, he's trying to let the Group of 6 have their cake and eat it too, which it's certainly within. He's doing his job, stating his case for his constituents. So the idea would be, most people talk about a Group of 6 playoff. It's you're taking all the Group of 6 teams and you try and crown a national champion among those 65-ish teams, and that's your national champion, same as you do in every other division or subdivision within college football. Well, his idea is the best 2 teams still go to the big boy college football playoff, and then the rest of the champions that don't make it into the field then stage their own tournament. And so I guess they would call themselves the Group of 6 champion, although at best you're the second best Group of 6 team. But basically, the idea is an NIT for the Group of 6. And I don't think it's a terrible idea. Like this past bowl season, we had the MAC champion playing the Conference USA champion in a bowl game. And ideally, that should be somewhat of a big game, especially in those early days when we're waiting around for the playoff to start. And that game was played the Myrtle Beach Bowl on a Monday afternoon at 11 a.m., and not even 1 million people watched it, not even 10,000 people attended. And so if you put that that exact package in better wrapping paper with a shinier bow, more people will watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting idea, and like you said, he's got to look out for his own, and that's his job as commissioner. So he's coming up with some ideas. And Zach, I just feel like there's so many people that have their own playoff ideas, play-in conference tournament weekends. Like, let's take the 1 and 2, and they play if they've already made the playoff, and then like there's all these scenarios. There's the chance to do some really cool stuff. I just don't know that everybody can get on board because of self-interest. But college football, for as much as we're like scared of change, even though it's already here, there's a lot of cool ideas out there floating around. I wonder if everybody can come together and make some of these things happen.
Yeah, I mean, even in an age where we say that conference championship games are quote unquote meaningless, winning the Big 12 still meant a hell of a lot to Texas Tech. And their fans had dreamed of going to AT&T Stadium and hoisting that trophy for 30 years. And they finally did it this past year. That Ohio State-Indiana game, winning the Big Ten championship, meant a lot to Indiana. And almost 19 million people watched that game. Even a quote-unquote meaningless SEC championship game with the Georgia-Alabama rematch where Georgia won and both teams were in regardless. Didn't really change a whole lot for either one of those teams. That still got 16 million viewers. So the idea that you're going to increase the total value, and keep in mind the conferences own those games. I mean, the Big 12 championship game was the most valuable, the most watched game in the Big 12 schedule by far this past season. The Big Ten championship, the SEC championship game, those games are worth a lot of money to those conferences that they get to keep. So the idea that you're going to replace that and increase the value with number 17 seed Ole Miss playing 23 seed Tulane in a CFP first round game, that it's going to get as much viewership, that it's going to generate as much dollars for the entire pot. I don't know. I'm not against doing away with conference championship games, but I'd like to see the idea first.
Zach, there was a lot of interviews with SEC personalities, coaches, AD, and even Nick Saban. And he was asked about what would get him back into coaching, what would entice him. And his wife, Miss Kelly, would be the barrier. What are your thoughts about what he said about getting back into coaching? Because I don't think he is. I think he's enjoying the college football broadcast.
Oh, yeah. I mean, same for him and Urban Meyer. These guys are the best at what they do, but they did it in a totally different era. And the idea that Nick Saban at age 75, whatever he is going to completely recalibrate his system at his age, I doubt it. So I think he's certainly flattered by the idea that he's going to come back and coach. He likes fielding the question the same way Mark Cuban likes being asked if he's going to come back and run for president. But the idea that he's actually going to do it, I don't ever see that.
Hey, Zach, we have to ask you about the earlier this week. Where did Sanders be? That was coming out of nowhere. Your thoughts on just where we kind of go from here, and what you think ends up happening with him in Texas Tech?
I think Texas. I don't see him playing for Texas Tech ever. The idea, it seems like there's proof that he bet on Indiana football games. So if that's the case, you can't play college football if you bet on a college football game. Oh, I bet on my team to win. Okay, well, you're saying a lot to the people that you're betting with, or that about in the games that you don't bet on. So that's a red line that you simply cannot cross. So yeah, I would be very surprised if he ever played it down for Texas Tech. They'll be fine in the long run. They brought in the kid from Tulsa that can mind the gap until Will Heyman comes back. I hope for Will Heyman's case that they don't start him before he's ready. But they'll still be the Big 12 favorites. Will they compete for a national championship without Brendan Thorsby? No, because this team was far and away the best team in the Big 12 this past season, but there was a large gap between them and Oregon, and so they needed a first-round quarterback to go compete for a college football playoff championship. That's not going to happen without him playing.
All right, how many dogs are barking? We got to get it. This is great. No, how many of that? Two at least, right?
We've got two. So my front door, as I point, is right over there, and there's someone waiting to drop off DoorDash that's here 20 minutes before he's supposed to be. But yeah.
You want to go get it, or you want to wrap up the segment? What do you want to do? It? I'm fine.
Yeah, we should probably wrap this up. I apologize.
Okay. Greg, you want one more to close it out with Zach? Okay. Hey, man, go eat your food. Thank you very much. DoorDash does a great job. Gave him a plug. Zach Barnett, footballscoop.com with us on 365 Sports. Hey, dogs, they're protecting their investment. And part of the deal. Live TV and podcast.
They think we were going to jump through the screen and attack him? Is that what they were protecting?
I think so. No, the DoorDash guy.
Oh, the
DoorDash guy. They had the door open, and now they're losing their minds, and that's what dogs do, right?
Yeah.
It's not the barking. It's whether it's the octaves or the pitch.
It's very much that. Like, that sounded like smaller dogs.
Yeah.
So, the smaller dog with the higher pitch bark, especially multiplied, can really have a frequency that'll ding your eardrums. That's for sure. But I've definitely been in a lot of houses where that's like the constant soundtrack is like that kind of nipping and barking and whatever else protecting of said owner. So appreciate Zach for joining us for a few minutes. And a lot of stuff going on. I mean, I'm with them like on the conference championship game. Like, I still see them as important. I understand why some don't. I also understand like when I say there's a lot of good ideas, like there are some intriguing ideas of how you could spice things up. I'm not advocating though that we just do away with it to simply do like mini playoffs for a playoff, which is what I do see some ideas are, where it's like, yeah, we completely scrap that because those two are already in, and we just like do 5 versus 4 and 2 versus 3, or like there's some kind of setup like that. Switch around the numbers to make it make sense for you if you need to, but I think you know where I'm going here. Like very elaborate to where I almost lose interest because I'm like, now you sound like you're the NBA trying to do the in-season play-in tournament or like that kind of just gimmickry. And I don't want to do just gimmicks for the sake of gimmicks. I think that gimmicks are very cheesy. Sometimes they're great, but yeah, play-ins to play into the play-in tournament to get into like the 17th spot in the playoff. Screw that noise.
I don't even I've never watched an in-season playoff or I've never watched
the
that.
NBA's in-season turn. It's just like
I've heard of it, but I don't understand it.
It's really truly like it's just them trying to create. All that was them trying to make their regular season matter because they had so watered down their regular season. Now, I'm not talking about the people who live tweet every NBA game, and like there is a massive amount of online NBA fans. I mean, it's a whole ass like community out there that you're a part of. Like there's a massive online following of the NBA. People just watching games every single night and memeing and doing all these types of things. And those people watch regardless because half the fun is the stupidity of the regular season or whatever. But for people like myself or just regular people, you have no reason to be drawn to the NBA regular season. And the argument will be, oh, well, the athletes have never been greater. It's like, yeah, but they don't even seem to care half the time. Like, and so they had to create an in-season tournament to just simply like motivate these guys to like care in the regular season. And that's all that was. Like, I'm sure part of it was also an extra money grab here and there, but ultimately, like, that was really what it was. Like, we need to spice things up because just doing it as is not cutting it anymore. And I think that's when you realize you've reached the point where now you're just in gimmick territory where, man, college football cannot reach that stage where they're suddenly having to gimmick everything up. And I do come across some of those conference championship ideas that do sound like just gimmicking things up for the sake of for gimmicks. And I'm not opposed to just having traditional conference championship games, but I do think when you have a situation like the ACC last year, then that just exposed a loophole that they probably never thought they'd have to deal with. And that's now since
TCU
been corrected.
Baylor in 14.
That's now since been corrected.
Yeah.
So that's been fixed. But it did make conference championships look pretty damn stupid when two teams are playing for a title and neither one of them are going to the playoff, and the team that didn't play for it is sitting at home and they're going to the playoff. And not only are they going to the playoff, they're going to end up playing for the national championship. Like, so that was just an ACC flaw that occurred and is not an every year thing.
It happens.
But it did put a spotlight on conference championship weekend, or the abundance of scenarios where, like, no matter what happens in the SEC title game, these teams are in, and the third team's in, and the fourth team's in, and it's just a question of whether the fifth or the sixth team get in. So, like, what does the conference title matter? I still do think it matters that Georgia wins the SEC. I think it would matter to Mississippi State to win the SEC regular season football title. I think it matters to Texas and Oklahoma that they have not won the SEC title. So I am not one of those that feels like conference title games are pointless at all. I do think there's some interesting things you can do on those weekends with maybe some of the third, fourth place teams as far as the playoff spots go. That could be interesting. But I am more pro conference title game than I am anti that, for sure. I'm open-minded to what can be dressed up around it, but I've got a line that I will draw where you enter that NBA territory and I'm like, all right, you lost me and I'm as hardcore as it gets.
To me on the end, and I haven't watched it. I heard it. It's not like something I looked up, which I probably could, but it's like, to me, that means your regular season's got a problem.
Yes.
And that's why they did it. And then you're right. It's a gimmick or whatever, and maybe there's some more money made. I don't even understand what happens if you win it or not. Does that mean you automatically are the
you win
playoffs?
money?
But that's like 2 months ago.
Players who already have the most absurd contracts in pro sports, and absurd's not a negative. It's just like there's bench players in the NBA that make way more than guys who play much larger roles in different sports. And then there's guys who make tons of money and they sit out like half the regular season, it feels like, and that's a little bit overplaying it, but not in some cases. Anthony Davis. So that's frustrating. But like, he doesn't care. Like, why should he care? Like, I don't. But yeah, there's prize money. Like the winner, I think, gets like $500,000. So just more money for guys with a bunch of money. So that's part of the motivation, because it can't just be for pure heart. They've got to have the financial incentive to also care about their regular season. So I think that just tells you like where they drifted off course so badly that they had to like scramble and try to make things interesting and matter again before everybody just finally got to the playoffs at the end of the year.
And they're talking about less games.
Yeah.
Because the league has so many people tanking, it's obvious there's nothing that Silver, the commissioner, can do about it. Now you get the NFL, every league, and we like singular, usually exceptions of years or whatever, like the ACC, and we want to change the whole system. It happens.
I mean, I don't think there's like a big collective of people who are like, we demand change. I just think people are spitballing ideas and trying to figure out what the best thing to do moving forward is. I'm still of the belief that conference championship games matter. There is a wide swath of people that feel like that's not the case, that they feel that like we don't even need them. We can do away with them. But I think like the play-in thing and maybe some of the ideas, and I've seen various people and I've had my own thoughts, so I don't want to like specifically pinpoint somebody because I might be mix-mashing ideas, but you can still have 1 and 2 play, and there is a conference title game still, and that matters for Alabama versus Texas or whatever, but you'd have like 3, 6, 4, 5, and the winners, they go on to the playoff. I think that's maybe like what a Josh Pate or something has come up with before. And again, I don't want to confuse people, but like that, would that not be intriguing to you to at least some degree? Like 1 and 2 still play each other. They're still playing for the conference title, but then you got 3 and 6, and winner.
But here's the problem.
Yeah,
if 1 and 2 play, which is that
they're both in the playoff.
Okay,
they're definitely
because if 2 loses.
No, the
and
other
then
2
can 6 jump them or 3 jump them?
No.
Then that would not make
no.
any
1
sense.
and 2 are in no matter what. It's just who's the actual conference champion, and basically, I think the general premise for some of these types of ideas is okay. So you've got your conference title game still, and I don't think that's going anywhere necessarily. So there's that, but then you'd have 3 play 6, 4 play 5, and in those 2 games that are just bonus additional conference championship games, so more TV money, more product, more to offer, more ratings, big games. Well, now all of a sudden you've got like what a lot of people like Bill Connolly have been pushing or at least talking about for a long time is like the soccer style where you have like knockout games. And so 3 and 6 play each other. And let's say that's Georgia versus Tennessee. Imagine on conference title weekend, Georgia, Tennessee, 3 versus 6, winner goes to the playoff. Loser goes home.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a lot.
Well, that's what I've said before.
That's
it's like
freaking a lot.
It's actually pretty simple when you break it down. But again, there's a lot of different ideas. That's one example of it. That would add inventory money in theory and just some drama to that final weekend. Because I think this goes along with the betting conversation earlier. I think we've got a lot of people, and this isn't like my rant on the world, but I think it's just the obvious that we feature now. People get bored very quickly. Like they need stimulation. So they can't just watch a conference championship game for the sake of a conference championship game if they have no dog in the fight or no bet writing on it. So they need like stakes. They need like the winner gets to go to heaven and the loser goes to hell kind of thing, right? They need this extra thing. I don't personally need that for every single thing, but that's why gambling's so popular, is because I need the Bucks versus the Pacers on a random Tuesday night when I'm bored to matter to me. So I'm going to throw $50 on this game because now I have a reason to root one way or the other. And I think that's where some of the ideas of like just needing something to matter are kind of coming from. But I think conference titles still matter a lot. I think ask anybody who won one last year, they'll tell you that they are very proud of that banner and that trophy in their trophy case, and they wouldn't trade it for the world. But the playoff and realignment have watered it down to the degree that there's at least a conversation about it.
Well, anything to make it mean something, and if teams that otherwise are not going to get in, they just go play bowl games, and maybe this gives them that one more shot. All right, when we come back, Mike Germanese, he wrote a story, an article, the double standard behind the transfer debate. We're going to discuss that with him. He'll be next. And then also we have, of course, at the end, the wheel, the quizzes and the poll results and more. Thanks to Rez and Garrett. Thanks to also Logan and Andrew Valet. This is 365 Sports. It's time to compete against yourself, finding too many excuses not to work out combined with bad eating habits, and Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness can help reach inside your competitive soul. Discipline, getting results you've only dreamed about, personal training, group exercise classes, and even a tanning bed, world-class tennis facility, and pickleball courts and lessons available. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, spacious, clean workout rooms, free weights, state-of-the-art technology, weight training equipment, and no intimidation. It's time for you to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
I have a lot of friends reach out to me about buying vehicles for their fleet and their business, and I always recommend Allen Samuels. You see a lot of businesses running different brands, but I really think Rams are the best looking ones out there. They're going to take care of you. They're going to make sure that you get what you need, and they're always going to take care of you on the service side and the sales side.
Like Allen Samuels always said, Waco has a lot to offer, and so do we at Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Come by, let's be friends.
This 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Financial Advisors, Ben Erlinson and Brad Wilson in Waco, and Cam Heathcott in Conroe, with an individualized approach to addressing your financial needs, including education, savings, planning for retirement, and protection strategies. Edward Jones Financial Advisors, making sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. It's time for the Smoke Show on 365 Sports with Craig Smoke and David Smoke.
We start this 5 o'clock hour. We do appreciate your time every day. Today, the first day of May, and we've had a busy week ever since that story popped about Brendan Sorsby and more, and still waiting to see how that unfolds. I think we know how it probably will. David Smoke, Craig Smoke, the Smoke Show, and joined by Mike Germanese. And
perfect pronunciation.
I got it. I still was like Germanese. But you told me I got it right, and I wanted to make sure I did get it right. Good to see you. by the way.
Good to see you too, sir. How are we doing today?
I'm doing great. So you're college football dogs.
No, actually, that was the old one. I'm with
Okay.
Mike Farrell. Mike Farrell Sports.
That's right. Mike Farrell Sports, and I crank out a lot of great content. Thanks for being a part of the show. So
No
the double standard behind the transfer debate. Explain exactly what you're talking about. I've read the article, and also what you think the debate might be.
I think we're seeing too much where the players aren't getting a say in what's going on. And it always seems to be the players are the ones who are causing the chaos. It's the players doing this, the players doing that. But you never hear anything about coaches who leave before playing in a national championship run, or a guy leaving before a bowl game. You never hear about the backdoor conversations to get some of these guys to leave. It's always the players. And it just seems like there's a double standard where the coaches can do whatever they want and go freely. And you have all these loud voices who want the players to have all the rules and all the regulations, why the coaches get to do whatever they want. And no one ever seems to stick up for the players.
You know, that's also almost one of the original arguments, Mike, was that, well, coaches can leave whenever they want. And I mean, most of the time fans, that's their go-to default when, well, they coach. But what's the difference what's the difference in coaches being in a profession and players who are, and they really aren't yet in a profession?
And that's you hit it right there. What they're trying to do is they want to keep it the amateur, but the amateur's been gone for what, 3-4 years now. These are professional athletes. They get paid like professional athletes. You got guys making 7 digits. You got guys living in $1 million homes off campus. At some point, you just have to admit these aren't student athletes anymore. And they need to be treated like that.
You know, the buyout, what was it? Damon Williams at Washington, Darian Mensah at Duke before he went to Miami. How much, and that's what coaches have to do. Most coaches have to pay a buyout, whether basketball or football or whatever. And are we going to start seeing that in almost every one of these, especially the higher level NIL type contracts?
I have no problem with that. If they're going to put buyouts in, and they're going to treat them like the coaches, then that should be fine. But if you're gonna run it where you're just gonna make it so that you get one-time transfer, well, how does that work? If a guy makes the wrong decision, or if a guy doesn't want to be there, he doesn't want to be there. The coach, if he doesn't want to be there, he gets to leave. If another team's willing to pay the buyout and get him out of there, then it should be allowed.
Should there? We're just kind of going through the different questions. When should there be at least consequences for decisions you do make as an athlete signing with another school?
You know what? There should be consequences. Just like if a coach is under contract, there shouldn't be backdoor deals where these schools are coming to talk to him and all of a sudden he leaves. Why do you never hear about these kind of deals in the NFL where a guy just leaves all of a sudden? Even to talk to coordinators, you always hear in the NFL, oh, they ask permission to talk to him. If a school wants to ask permission to talk to a player that's under contract, that should be allowed. Just like a school should have to ask to talk to a coach who's under contract.
So wait a minute, you're saying that if it was Auburn, let's say it's Auburn and it's Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And Auburn wants to talk to a player on the Ole Miss roster, that's tampering. But you say they should ask permission to talk to the player?
Once the season's
going to say no, right?
Once the season's done, they should be allowed to, if a guy's under contract, you should be allowed to ask if we can talk to him. And if the school says no, the school says no. That's part of having a contract. But most of these contracts, what are they? 1-year deals?
That's what I've been told. And I actually was able to talk to a few people this week, even about NIL in particular, how it works, et cetera, the payments. And yeah, most of them are 1-year deals.
So so at the end of the day, if they have a 1-year deal, a 1-year deal is a 1-year deal. They can go wherever they want. Now, if you want to tell me, let's just use Manning from Texas. Let's just say Manning says, oh, we signed him a 3-year deal. Yeah, then if another team wants to talk to him, the coach should say no, or the school can say, no, we're not going to let you talk to him.
Why don't we just go by the rules that you're not supposed to talk to him? Is that really damaging the player any? Because go ahead.
let's be honest, it's college football. Have we ever gone by the rules?
No, hell no. It's like all the coaches want all of these, like the House settlement, everybody just blasted right through the top end of that at 20.5. And I don't know how many schools out of 130 plus FBS football teams are abiding by that. Not many.
Yeah, when do we hold the schools responsible? You hear all these claims like, oh, it's unsustainable, we can't afford it. Then only spend what you can afford. And if it means you can't compete, you can't compete. It's not up to, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that because we can't afford to sustain this. You can afford to sustain it. You just don't want to compete at the level you can compete at.
There is
If Michigan can afford, let's say, $30 million, and that's the cap, and school B can afford $18 million, it is what it is. If school B wants to spend $30 million, that's their own fault for going over their means.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. That's what they do in professional sports, but there's a salary cap. They're not abiding by the salary cap right now in college.
And no, and that's the thing. That's what we need here. And I'm not saying a salary cap like the NFL. There has to be a way that they can have a collective bargaining agreement where the players can be happy, the schools are happy, and there's rules put in place that everybody has to follow. Not school A, yeah, we're going to follow this rule, and then you find out 2 years later that no one's following that rule.
What were your thoughts when the House settlement was signed? And we were, I remember asking on this show, and I got kind of not bludgeoned, but I was like, it didn't end anything. It didn't really, we're still confused on what you can really do. And now you have the College Sports Commission, et cetera. Yeah.
For me, it was, okay, so let's see who the first one is going to figure out how to go around this. It's like college football. As soon as a rule gets made, somebody figures out how to go around it.
Yeah.
There's no consequences.
But collective bargaining is brought up. You hear more and more people bringing it up. But how do you get there if not both sides, either players or the teams or the NCAA? There's no players union. So can you do a collective bargaining agreement without a union?
And I wish I was a lawyer and I could answer all those questions. To me, you're going to have one side and the other side both give a little bit and figure out how to do this. What I don't understand is you're talking about some of the greatest institutions in the world, education-wise, with some of the greatest law departments and law professors. And how can we not use those resources to figure this out? Like, how did we get to this point where it's one lawsuit after another after another? You would think that these institutions could sit down and figure out, okay, this is how we're going to do it. This is what's legal. This is how it's going to be done, and be done with it.
Yeah, it just seemed like they seemed to, a lot of meetings, a lot of committees, a lot of this, and then they seem like they come to a conclusion, and then there's a lawsuit. And then I'm telling you right now, I knew of some of the best legal minds when it came to sports law. Now there's 5,000 of them. Now there are attorneys I'd never heard of who are very, very smart, who are now giving their opinions, not just the Darren Heitners or Mike McCann or whoever. It's like everybody has come out of the woodworks because nothing is sacred.
Well, the antitrust lawyers are making a fortune right now with NCAA players. It seems like every time there's something, antitrust. Even okay, your earlier question, what do you do with these players? Does college football even have the NFL where they have certified agent system where these are the agents you have to use?
It could be Uncle Bobby.
Yeah, if it could be Uncle Bobby, or do conferences have it? What rules do conferences make? Are we going to go state by state? Are we going to go countrywide? Are we going to follow this rule? Are we going to follow that rule? It seems like no one wants to just sit down and figure this out. Everybody throws their hands up. And it was okay.
Yeah, that's my biggest problem. And someone who's watched it go from where you'd never thought there would be NIL or whatever name, image, and likeness would have been called back in the day, salary caps, contracts, agents. It's that it seems simple that the NCAA and all of the teams, all of their members could say, you have to be a certified agent for X, Y, and Z player to sign an NIL deal or to negotiate one. I don't understand how that is not the case. The NFL would ban your ass and knock you out of the agent business if you ever tried to do that.
Well, think about how many things, like picture the NFL having the transfer or free agency during the conference championship weekend.
Oh, I know. It's crazy. The timelines don't always make sense.
And even, okay, like tampering, right? The NFL has the legal tampering period a week before. Guys who are going to become free agents, everybody knows they're becoming a free agent. The season, the calendar year is about to end, and they can sign new deals. How do you do that in college football when everybody's on a 1-year deal? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, somebody's like, oh, we're going to have, I read somewhere that they're thinking about doing some kind of legal tampering system. What's legal tampering? Everybody's on a 1-year deal. What are you going to?
You can't, like the NFL can, because they're controlled and the agents are certified and everybody, they lose a draft pick. What are they going to do if Oklahoma State does that? They can't do anything.
Well, what are you going to do when 1,200 free agents enter the portal or enter legal tampering the first day? It's impossible for that many people to meet, get to where they have to go. And you're doing it at a time when school's going on.
Yeah, that you hear the calendar needs to be set to a certain time that everybody goes by. Let me ask you a question about Brent Key said this, and it's in your article. This was after spring football wrapped up, but what he said made a lot of sense. But he goes, not having to worry about their asses, he's talking about his players, going somewhere else. It would be nice to get one position or one player added to the position. I'd rather know the team is secured, because last year people were actually auditioning during other teams' spring football practices and eventually the spring games. And now some coaches just said, screw it, we're not going to do the games.
I get 100% what he's saying. Yeah, it's nice to have a team secure. But you also have to remember, if you're going to claim their student athletes, then the calendar should also go around school. You can't open it after classes started. The school year should be complete, the transfer portal open, and let these guys leave. If it hurts that you don't, instead of having from February 1st to the start of the season to work on everything with your team, unfortunately, that's the way it works. It's college football.
I don't know if we'll ever get to work it out, though, Michael. That's the thing. I don't know if anyone could ever sit. They have rules and people break them. Even the ones that want rules, they turn around, they break them. That's teams or members of the NCAA who are breaking their own rules because they can. And if you set rules and nothing happens, then what's the reason for having the rules?
No, and that's the whole argument. Like, if you're going to set all these rules and no one's going to follow them, then the system doesn't work in this new landscape. So they need to figure out a new system. If it's not the NCAA, it has to be somebody else, because you can't have this chaos without having somebody come in and be the adult in the room. Why can't the universities or the conferences come up and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is the rules. This is what everybody's going to play by for our conference. But no one does that.
No.
Everybody just throws their hands up. Oh, okay.
Thank you, man. Appreciate your article, and appreciate you again with Mike Farrell Sports. We appreciate your time. Michael Germany's. Thank you for your time, buddy.
Thanks for having me on. It was great talking to you, sir.
You too. Michael wrote the article, The Double Standard Behind the Transfer Portal Debate. By the way, Paxton, you asked a question in the at the end of the segment. What about a Super League? They're going to do the same thing if there's 32 or 48 or 24. Then the teams that break away, you don't think they're not going to bend the rules themselves? I mean, what? Those are most of the teams who are bending them now.
Yeah. So sorry I didn't jump in on that. I was late. I'm starting to get over the sickness from earlier in the week. I'm on the tail end of it, but got caught up dealing with some of these allergies still. Good to have Michael on as, I believe, a first-time guest on this show. So
yeah, I just happened to, I saw that article. I read it. It made sense. and reached out to him for a Friday segment.
But I wouldn't push back on what Paxton's saying so quickly, because the whole idea behind if you were to do something along those lines would be that in order to do those things, those teams would have to agree that we are forming rules. These are going to be like the NFL, where somebody's running this thing. Everybody's playing by the same rules. There's none of this, well, okay, we can't do $100 handshakes. Well, we'll just do envelopes and lockers. Well, we can't do that. We'll do fake jobs during the summertime. Well, we can't do that. We'll do all this. Like, no, you get to the point of, like, if there's an actual super league, 32, 48, whatever that would be, there's no more of this bending the rules crap, to Paxton's point. Like, that's where the line gets drawn. There's no more of like, no, we're pro sportsing. We're pro sportsing. And you're not going to be able to just be like, well, we're Ohio State, we're not going to follow the rules. And I use them just because they come to mind. But to Paxton's point, I think any new entity of that type would absolutely have a law of the land that everyone would have to agree to in order to be a part of this. This isn't the CSC where, well, we're not going to opt into that, and there's really nothing that you can do about it. No, you want to be in the Super League, or do you want to be Ohio State and you're in the Big Ten, but you're playing who the hell? Western Michigan and Eastern Michigan and whatever the new Big Ten would look like. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
that's what that would be. So, yeah, there wouldn't be any, well, we're going to throw our huevos on the table and you're going to listen to us because we won 7 national titles. Like, we don't give a damn. If you're not going to follow the rules, then you're not a part of our league. Like, it's as simple as that. We don't care how much money you bring in. And I don't think that schools would be totally resistant to something like that at that point. It would be interesting to see, like, how would they try to go about still finding an advantage, because it's so ingrained in the DNA of college sports to try to find an advantage somewhere. I don't know where you could in that type of a format, but I definitely think there would be rules. There would be none of this other, every time something is made into rules, we've already found ways to bend it. No, I would hope so, but I believe so. I believe that would be the case if we got to that point.
If they enforce it and there are consequences.
Well, that would be the whole basis of having a league.
Well, that's what also the basis of the House settlement and other things, but it just never seems.
But those are up for lawsuits and constant trying to pick apart state by state. Like, that's the thing. If you do that's what we need to define. Like, what's a super league? A super league to me is not every school from the Big Ten and every school from the SEC, and they just go together and you're like, oh, it's a super league. Super league to me is the best possible league that you could have, like at the most highest level. So the best of the best teams or programs or whatever historically present day. But it would also mean if you're a super league, you have rules like that are followed. And it's not college football, college sports where, well, sometimes the rules matter, sometimes they don't, sometimes they're enforced, sometimes they're not. Sometimes schools get punished, but not as bad as this school got punished for doing the same exact thing.
So then you're going to have a union,
players, which is probably why it's not going to happen.
You're going to have agents certified, or they can't. And then you're going to also have what was the other thing? I think I'm still.
Well, here's the thing. If you're going to do the big breakaway, the breakaway is not going to be just like, well, all the big schools just leave and do the same thing somewhere else.
That's what
The breakaway is, okay, you go break off and you do something with the same schools, but completely different as a structure.
Collective bargaining and a union and everything else.
Probably a lot of that stuff. Yeah.
There's I want to get to a couple of the messages in the chat room. I really like the one that Retired Stockbroker has, and we'll get to that. And a couple of the stories will empty the holster. Retired Stockbroker, I think every guest you guys have on has some sports memorabilia behind them, except the General, John McClain, on Tuesdays with his wife's China cap. McClain needs to sneak in a mini BU helmet or an old Oilers helmet or something like that. He's got that Hall of Fame hat on, though.
I give John credit for just constantly evolving with the times. Like, I mean, he's an old newspaper guy who could have gone the way of the dinosaur, and I mean that lovingly, but a lot of his colleagues did, right? They just refused. They're like, oh, it's going to be a newspaper guy. And John's evolved. He's done blogs. He's done this. He's done that. Like,
he's on like 15 different radio shows.
He does like 15 radio hits every day. I mean, he'll eventually get there is what I'm getting at. He'll have like some dope backdrop, and it just may take a little while, but he's actually I've been very impressed by John having talked to him for like years now at this point of like, he's
Flexibility.
been very flexible and evolving with the times, and that can't be said for everybody.
One of the owners, John Valade, wants me to send him a 365 sports hat, but I don't think I don't know if he'll wear it, but I think we need to do that. We got to get the hat. From Kim, all of Zach Barnett's helmets behind him are SEC helmets. Maybe he's another general's relatives, like General Ursus, the Tennessee fan. I never noticed that before.
Zach went to UNT.
That guy
I
right
believe.
there just had Michigan and Texas in the background.
Yeah, that's a weird combo. I don't know if you can.
They
root for
played
both
in the
those
bowl game,
teams.
didn't they?
They played a few times. They've
They've
feels like they play
had-
regularly,
yeah,
actually.
yeah.
But then they played they played in a bowl game like in the last couple of years.
I thought that they
Was
just
it last
played,
year? Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. I know it's been recent as well. We can look that up on Winsipedia. That's a great site. Yeah, where we? You've got me off track now. What was the last comment? The SEC stuff. Okay, you're off track too because you can't even remember what we just talked
they just
about.
beat Michigan. That's what I was.
Yeah,
no,
so we
I
knew.
had to get that down.
Okay, we got that. All right, moving on to the SEC helmets. Yeah, I think Zach's a UNT guy, so I don't know if that's how intentional that is or what, but a lot of people who cover the sport, whether they went to those schools or not, they go there because that's where a lot of the biggest fan
It's
bases
the
are.
SEC
Yeah.
lobbyist money. They threw them all the helmets.
Yeah, maybe Sankey bought all those helmets. I don't know.
All right, a couple of more
He definitely wouldn't buy me
comments
those
from the
helmets.
chat. Bracket Cat, can you pop that open, Rez? Is that love the new graphics?
Oh,
now,
thank you.
Mike Hamilton did the graphics. Do we have a graphic? Because we may need to do a poll on this of the SMOAK show. Sam Kahn said, I love the new graphics, but he said it's too much of an Astros color tint to it. And I never would have thought of that.
I'm a Rangers fan, and I'm good with it. I think it's different, and it's not just. I think a lot of shows can kind of look the same, so I think a little bit of color's good. And now you put the Astros thing in my head, but no, I dig it. I don't know if Mike's an Astros fan or if this is just a palette he came across that he liked, but it's working for me. So
I like it.
Yeah.
It's got a little. I appreciate Mike did that. Now one more super chat, and we need to do the super chat, and there it is up on the screen. Thank you, firefighter. Yes, I'm 66 years and 364 days old.
Well, the younger listeners just dropped off our feed now. They're like, oh no, the old guy here. No, I'm just kidding. Happy birthday tomorrow. And
did you remember it?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to dinner tomorrow night, but I'm going to be in Dallas, I think, with Jennifer, Daniel, and Gracie.
Oh, damn. Shoot. There goes my big surprise party.
They invited me out.
There goes my big surprise
to come
party.
up, yeah.
Happy
Bobby
birthday.
B with the dragon symbols.
Appreciate it. Happy 67. I don't know. I'll get to that point in life, God willing, but you're doing well for yourself.
Oh.
And happy birthday.
Sam, I did not say it was too much Astros-ish. It's perfect amount of Astros-ish.
I was confused
you're
by
a Houston
that too.
guy. That's right.
I was confused by what you were saying there. I was like, why would he have a problem with the Astros color? He's a H-Town all the way.
Sam Kahn used to be a part of the show on Thursdays at 3:30. All right. I think, did we empty the barrel?
No, I want to talk about Jelly Roll and this cancellation.
Do that. I'll save the Des Bryant on his former high school coach comments for Monday, and maybe I can track him down between now and then.
I highly doubt that.
Great. You don't think so?
I don't think so.
He's coaching now. His son's a hell of a football player.
My Des Bryant stories, I remember one time I got his phone number. This is like 15 years ago. I was trying to produce for a show back in the day, and I was booking guests, and man, that is a grind. I mean, I respect that the way you put guests together, because that is a daily grind, is trying to track people down and stuff. And it's not always fun. Some days
you have to get ahead of yourself.
Some days they just roll on in and it's easy peasy. And then some days it's like you could call 55 people and you get 0 returns.
Or 3 of them the day of, an hour before the show, have a flat tire, got to take care of the baby, or just aren't available.
I got Dez's number, and this is when he was still with the Cowboys, I believe. And I know typically you go the route of you contact, like in college, the sports information department and you go through them, and in the pros, you go through their media department, but sometimes you don't have to do that. So I just took a shot in the dark and I called what I thought was Des Bryant's number, and somebody answered and sounded a lot like Des Bryant, and they claimed to not be Des Bryant. It was Des Bryant. And I tried to explain, like, hey, I'm East Texan, just like you. You're Lufkin. I'm Tyler. Just trying to have an East Texas guy, a cowboy, on the show. And yeah, he claimed it wasn't him. I'm like 100% positive it was him. And I just chalked it up to, like, I get it. I totally get it. And I can go a different route with it. But no, he just seems like he'd be a hard guy to stick for certain interviews if you're not like a couple of different outlets that would just be like, I think for him would probably be like no brainers.
When I did the show in Tyler, I had him on once. So I did a recorded interview with him because Coach Outlaw set it up for me.
Yeah, no, he was so damn good at Lufkin, man. Like, holy woof. And yeah, John Outlaw was a legend. And so maybe that's an end that you eventually get him on. I know he has
I'm not going to get it from John Outlaw.
Well, no, of course not.
No longer.
God, yeah, no. Rest in peace. What the hell kind of morbid ass joke was that? Yeah, of course you're not. So anyways, like the end that you both knew, the late John Outlaw, maybe that eventually gets your foot in the door, but I'm not holding my breath.
I got a couple of ways. I tweeted back at him last night about 11:30, but he absolutely doesn't get any of the direct messages. Okay.
Post Malone and Jelly Roll. I was just going to mention they had a concert scheduled at Baylor, and as part of this tour that they're doing, and I've seen where there's been some lagging ticket sales in certain spots. And as of today, like, it was notable because McLean Stadium was built over 10 years ago, and they've really not done a lot of events. There's been like a truck event there was there one time, but like you would think there would be a lot more going on at a relatively new venue. And I don't know the exact reasons. I know there was an entire committee of people put together that basically did nothing for like 10 years. And they were part of this like booking and putting events together committee. And like, I can recall 3 whole events off the top of my head from like a decade that they were apparently working. I don't know what the disconnect there was or how the free checks were flowing for very little in return, but that got corrected. And then, like, here in the last year, you've seen more events coming out. But that seemed like it was a real grift that was going on. I'm not sure what happened where the events weren't popping off like they should be for a committee in charge. But that got changed up. And then there was a bunch of events. And then one of the events that got announced was Post Malone and Jelly Roll doing this concert tour together. But it's apparently being canceled. It's supposed to be on May 19th, part of the big stadium tour part 2. It was only one of 2 Texas shows here.
Willie Nelson? You're talking about them. Okay.
Yeah, in El Paso. Baylor has not confirmed it yet because it's not really their call to cancel it. It's Live Nation and the promoters to cancel that. But I guess the reports out there that they're canceling. This isn't the only one. And I think I'm not sure if the ticket sales were bad for this particular concert, or as I saw someone point out that maybe the El Paso wasn't selling well, or just the regional weren't selling well. So it's like, well, we're not going to go do one show for the sake of it when we were planning on doing 6 shows on this leg. So 5 of these aren't selling well. We'll just cancel the 6th one and just not lose any more money. But either way, like, yeah, that's interesting. That was a fun headline to see of like, damn, they're going to McLean Stadium, but now they're not. So there you go.
All right. Well, that concert is done. Of course, Willie Nelson is just around the corner.
After
we need
the WWE,
we need to get to the final.
I know, but after WWE's WrestleMania buildup, I need a break from Jelly Roll for a little while. I do. I've got.
Is he a good singer?
He's a talented guy. He's just a bit overexposed at this point. I think for me at least, he just needs to kind of just go to the side for a second. Yeah, just
take
refresh.
A break.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can be overexposed. All right, Rez, it is time for us to. And by the way, thanks for the birthday wishes from everybody. It's time to spin the wheel. Damn, that's a big, large chunk of pizza. Oh, I know this one. Go ahead, Craig.
What's your go-to candle or air freshener flavor? You know what scent I used to not really like, but now I find myself liking is vanilla combinations. I used to not really like vanilla all that much,
It
but
could
for
almost
some
be
reason,
a little sweet.
it can be, but like not just pure plain vanilla, but like vanilla mist or, whatever kind of jazzy way they put it together. Candle, I like more of like the kind of citrusy fruit type of smells. That's so
Fleur
like
de lis, one of those. The one
I don't know about Fleur de Lis specifically, but like
Pineapple Crush,
like Limelight.
Okay, well,
yeah. And we're speaking of specific examples from Tyler Candle Company because that's our
great
buddy.
friend, Eric Horton, unbelievable friend, owns Tyler Candle Company. Started pouring wax into jars inside of an old, dilapidated, broken down hotel, and has turned it into a monster business with a massive building. And they have, like, my favorite's Icon and other type of scents, fragrances have kind of a male cologne smell to it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I can see that's a lane you would
And
like.
He recommended one. He sent me some wash because he's got also, candles. He's got wash for you to do your laundry called Bless Your Heart, which is a rock star scent now that he uses.
I like Bless Your Heart. That's a good candle from Tyler Candle Company. And shout out to Eric Horton, a longtime family friend. And that business is, I think anybody knows anything about candles, they at least know about Tyler Candle Company. It's right there, same vein as like Yankee Candles, because he used to own a business that was like a women's boutique, and they sold Yankee candles, and that opened the door to where he started doing eventually his own thing. But shout out to Eric. That's good people right there. And I'll say I also like cinnamon seasonally. Like we get into like the colder months, I like cinnamon scents as well in candles. So let's go to the next thing here before we close out candle talk. On May 1st, which MLB icon stole his 939th base, officially surpassing Lou Brock to become all-time stolen base king?
Got to be Ricky Henderson, right?
Yeah, of course it's Ricky Henderson. Yes.
Hamilton had a year or two, but Ty Cobb used to steel cleats up into the bag. It's got to be Ricky Henderson. And the answer is Ricky Henderson. On this day in 1991, Ricky Henderson famously picked up the third base bag, held it over his head after breaking the record, finished with 1,406 steals, a record so massive that many experts believe it's the unbreakable record. For context, legends like Ty Cobb, 892, Tim Raines, just over 800. And then, of course, not even in the same zip code as Ricky Henderson, who was a phenomenal, great player. Fantastic player. Great leadoff hitter.
So Ty Cobb was a total just bastard, right? Based on what we know.
He was supposed to be a douchebag.
Yeah, he was just a total ass. Ricky Henderson, if he wasn't on your team, he could definitely be like kind of a cocky, like as a Rangers fan watching it, he's like, I don't like Ricky Henderson. He's arrogant because he's not on my team.
Always talks in third person.
Yeah, anybody who talks in third person is a bit suspect, but dude was a total badass and great ball player. And I remember vividly that moment when he broke that. Felt like there was a lot of really cool records broken in the 90s in baseball. Now I know some of them are, asterisk next to the home runs nowadays, but that one right there, the Cal Ripken Iron Man, the home run chase, like there was some really cool baseball stuff happening in the 90s. And I wouldn't be surprised if that record's never broke. Was Lou Brock wasn't known as an ass, was he? Or
no,
was he? Okay,
hell no. Very much a gentleman.
I don't know if there was something with like Ty Cobb, Ricky Henderson, where like to be a stolen, it's like being a wide receiver, where you kind of got a little bit of cockiness to you.
Well, no, Ty Cobb was known as a dirty player. He was a great
he wasn't
baseball
cocky. He was just
player.
Not a good guy.
But had some things in his resume. Or he was a turd. He was a turd. So and maybe on the edge of being more than a turd.
I'm trying to figure out which current player has the most steals. I don't even know, and how that would even be close to.
What about the
Ricky
guy
Henderson.
from Cincinnati that's so good?
Starling Martes, who just popped up when I Googled it.
No,
real quick.
I'm talking about the guy. He's big, tall, lanky, got great speed. I can't remember his name.
De La Cruz. But no, he's not anywhere close to like talking this conversation.
No. As far as that, no.
So Starling Marte, which I was going to get to, 361, and that's nowhere even in the vicinity of happening. So I think that record will probably stay for a long time.
Steals come and go. As far as Vince Coleman was a badass too back in the day. All right, let's go. Thank you for the first quiz. In horse racing, the Kentucky Derby, by the way, this weekend, the number one post at the Kentucky Derby is seen as a curse because winning from the rail is so difficult. Which horse last won from that spot in 1986? Okay, Secretariat was, and there's no E at the end of Secretariat, but that's 1973. I don't know the answer to this, but I know it's
American
not Secretariat.
Pharaoh was too recent.
Yeah.
I don't remember Ferdinand or Silver Charm, though.
I do remember Ferdinand, and Silver Charm maybe was.
Okay, where in your brain do you remember Ferdinand?
Oh, I
Is
mean,
it
it's
in the
a horse
1980s?
that had success. Let's do Ferdinand. What the hell?
All right, Ferdinand.
I was right.
That's why you
were
got
right.
to like deduce. Yeah, like you got to. Yeah.
These older ones, I'm good at these. Ferdinand's victory in 1986, the number one spot, has gone 40 years without a winner in the massive 20-horse field. The horse on the rail usually gets squeezed or trapped. Yep, traffic immediately is such a tough draw that even the 2026 favorite, Renegade, is facing long odds just because he'll have to escape the curse of the inside rail.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I didn't know any of that. I didn't recognize the name Ferdinand even. Oh, here come the congestion back. I have seen now a couple of Triple Crown winners. There was a time where I actually made it an appointment television to watch the Kentucky Derby to see a Triple Crown winner. And I think it might have been you, or maybe it was somebody else that said, you don't actually want to see a Triple Crown winner. It's like, why would you not want to see a Triple Crown winner? Because once you do, you don't care anymore. And I think that's kind of true, but maybe it's because I've seen a couple of them.
Well, there was a long gap.
Yeah.
It was
it was built up. It was interesting.
You had Seattle Slew and then Affirmed and Alydar with their Affirmed, but then it went forever.
Well, then we had American Pharaoh.
Yeah.
And then Justify was 3 years later.
Yeah.
So it was
It
two of
kinda
them
comes
happened
in-
in
yeah,
5 years.
Yep.
And it's just oh, well, that's not that special. It just happened back to back. And since who was the latter? Was it Justify? Yeah, Justify. Since then, I don't think I've cared at all about the Kentucky Derby, quite frankly.
I remember the ones who won the Triple Crown because it's so hard to do. All right, one more. Who are you taking to win the 152nd Kentucky Derby? I took Chief Wallaby just because I just like the name. That's who I picked.
Well, after I've talked about how much I don't care, I guess I'll go. Let's go Renegade. Let's go with Renegade to win. But yeah, I don't know much about the horses. I haven't kept up with it nearly as much as I used to when I was like, oh, I want to see this before I die. And then it happened a couple times. I think the event's still very cool. I think the pursuit of the Triple Crown's still awesome. It's just that it doesn't have that pull of I've never seen it before to me anymore. And that's a pretty powerful pull for a sport you don't typically keep tabs on all the time.
All right, there we are. Thank you, Andrew, for putting all that up. Also with the quizzes and the wheel. Rez, the Michelangelo of producing. Thank you, sir. We appreciate all of what you've done. Logan Begesi and Garrett Ross. We appreciate him too, our sponsors. Thank you. Have a great rest of your week and weekend. We'll be back on Monday right here with the Smoke Show. Craig and David Smoke on 365 Sports, and thank you for your time.